Why are we called? Why are we called meek? Why are we deaf? Why are we deaf and blind? Dumb and blind. Why is everybody making progress, yet we seem to be lagging so far behind? Why are we mistreated? Why are we in this condition? Stripped of our name, our language, our culture, our God, and our religion. Here in America, all of our religious training has been gotten by the preacher. He has told us of a heaven way up in the sky that we can't enjoy now, but rather after we die. But all of the years that we're living, for us there's nothing but hell, pain, torture, and misgiving. Yet the Bible speaks of a heaven filled with material luxury, which the white man and the preacher has right here, so we see. So my friend, take it for what it's worth. Your heaven and your hell is right here on this earth.
Good rising, family. Good rising. Good rising. I have to admit that I'm really enjoying these discussions that we have. And this is not a discussion that we can complete in an hour and all of a sudden we have all of the solutions. But I feel we have to continue to press forward with this in mind as it crosses our path, as we're reminded how much work is needed to repair not only Black manhood, but our sisters in the ways that they may find themselves deficient. This is not a blame discussion. This is a crucial discussion. And we have to, in cleaning up our situation, we're going to have to get dirty. We're going to have to get down in the trenches, in the mud, where many of us, not all, but many of us find ourselves in order to clean everything up, because you have to understand on a mental and physical, spiritual level, we have been under attack for hundreds of years in America and all over the world. This is not just an American situation. Wherever we are, where we live close to those who have a system that favors them, we suffer the most. But now, it's a worldwide situation. Our manhood attacked. And yes, I will address our sisters in a separate show. And as you well know, I love to go in on a topic with surgical precision. That being said, you know I speak from the heart and shoot from the hip. Brother Bakari, thank you for being here, as well as the others who are coming in. And yes, there is a 4-hour difference from where I am in Ghana, West Africa, on the outskirts of Accra, over the East Coast. And I believe 7 hours over the West Coast. But I like to do it this way, early in the day. Sometimes I fluctuate because of things I have to do here on the different projects. Trust and believe there's so much more that I'm doing than everybody knows, but I'll soon unveil those things as I go in harder at this particular junction point. Chronologically, at 60 years old, I compare it to the little girl or little boy who goes to that free concert in the park with either their mother, their father, older brother or sister, or any adult. And when they're standing there, in the crowd, they can't see. So what does the adult do? Pick up the child and put it on his shoulders so the child can now see. So the more I advance in my chronological age, is the more I'm being lifted up to see further than I ever saw before. While, as an adult who's had many experiences, hands-on, some good, some uncomfortable, but all have been learning experiences, I can take that with what I see and connect dots. I do not know everything. I am not the ultimate authority on anything. Like again, I say, I'm just that brother you happen to bump into frequently at the bus stop on your commute. I'm that person who is sitting in the doctor's office waiting to be called, and we engage in conversation before we get called. I'm just a regular guy on my path who seeks to, in my path, make a difference with those who I come in contact with. Yes, on this platform, every now and then, again, we will have fun. We will have nights that we tell jokes that might be leaning toward adult jokes. But I believe that everything should be done in a way to heal us up. So even in our laughter, to laugh at the realities that we've had to endure in our own unique way that others just don't understand, there's a healing component in that. We need to laugh, and we need to laugh at ourselves sometime. We need to be self-effacing without putting ourselves down. I can take a joke. It's a healthy thing. If you can't take a joke, you got to look within and correct some things under the hood that need to be corrected. But when this topic came to me, I had gotten up in the middle of the night to answer a call to nature. And that's when it hit me. But this, like I said, should always be something that we press on. It's not a 1 hour discussion where, okay, we figured it out now. Everything is okay. No, but to find a solution, we have to dig deep to what people call problems. I call them challenges because we're all champions, whether we know it or not. And champions don't have problems. Champions have challenges. Problem is a heavy word that I don't like. Problem is a word that makes you want to sit down somewhere and give up. Have you ever said this to yourself? Oh man, I got problems. It's not an action word. It's not a word that calls you to action. It's a word that makes you want to quit if you have the perception that you have many problems. But when people tell me, Lance, you got a problem over there, I say, no, I have a challenge. And I'm going to find a solution, whether I know it at the time or not, to go and surmount this challenge because I am a champion. And many people in the American African community, I'm not going to say African American, no, American African. Do you say your name backwards? Do I say Scurv Lance? Scurv, or actually Scurvin, which is a name that was, or I was born into, but that's not my original bloodline name. I know that. But we don't say Scurvin Lance because I'm part of the Scurvin family. So we're confused because we say African American. So that means we're part of the American family. Well, yes, to a point, because we were born there, but we were never made to feel like family. And we were never made to feel as though that's our place, which every part of the planet is our place. So stop coming into the comment section saying that you're not anything else other than an American. Well, if you come home and you know that you're adopted. And the family that adopted you, which we weren't adopted, this was brought on against our will and by force. But you already know that deep down, you're not part of that bloodline family of Eurocentric thinking and people, and you're not part of it. But we try so hard as transplanted Africans. And for your information, if you don't know, my bloodline comes straight back through Ghana, where I'm living now. I know it irks some of you to hear that. But 93% of all Black Jamaicans are directly tied to Ghana. And my father, while he walked the earth, was a Jamaican, old school, not one of them clown, boomba types. He was a real man. And he helped me to guide me into true manhood. Even when I had periods in my life where I wanted to play around a lot, as many of us go through that. The basic wiring was put in me. And so eventually, as the cobwebs of carnal endeavors were wiped away, I knew what it was that I had to do because I had instructions from the womb. So I never had to search outward. I welcome the influences of righteous manhood. As I read the autobiography of Malcolm X and was influenced by Muhammad Ali in boxing, the sport I love so much, and so many other people that weren't just athletes. Those countless faces of Black men that influenced me in the community. Those countless faces of Black men that my father introduced me to, that still have an influence on my life as I think back. I don't know if you remember, for those who are old enough, there was a TV show named Kung Fu. And this particular gentleman, who was a martial arts master, he would often have flashbacks of times when his mentor would give him life lessons. And so he might have a battle to deal with or some type of altercation, which he was a peaceful man. But when challenged and when he was forced to go into using and utilizing his martial arts skills, right before, he would have a flashback for a moment of a lesson that pertained to what he was dealing with at that particular moment. So I have these moments. I know that my memory is a great thing. I live in a manner where I'm not depriving my brain of oxygen by smoking cigarettes or weed or whatever. My brain was made to operate off of oxygen. And I would not be so foolish to kill off my brain with smoke of different varieties and alcohol, these poisons that are put out there as a means of escape because of the pain that we feel. And yes, there will be some who argue with me and say, well, Bob Marley smoked lots of weed and it took him to another level. Well, listen, if I choke you and deprive you of oxygen, before you really pass out, you're going to feel high. Oxygen deprivation is nothing good. So this is why I feel my memory is very strong. Plus, every moment that I've lived in that moment. Too many of us wonder why we're not effective in life. Because at that present moment that they're living in with a task in front of them, whether they have a task or not, they're not all there. They don't have the focus. They can't be effective with the time that they have right there, because that's the only time that you're promised. Many are thinking about the past while they're in that present now. Some are projecting for the future and feel that it's a good thing. It is a good thing. But don't take up all of your time in the present thinking about the future and never doing anything in the present, because it's what you do in the present that brings you your future. So if I sit out on my backside all day projecting one day, and then I drop dead, the one day never comes. But if I do what I have to do as a foundation connected to the future, I'll make it there, because the future is now. So in those moments where I was taught different things by my elders, and at this age, I am still taught many things by those who may not be my elder chronologically. They might be 10, 20, 30 years younger. It doesn't mean that when you reach a certain chronological age that you can't take instruction or learn from somebody who is younger than you. That's where we all, or many of us, make a big mistake. You don't know nothing. You younger than me. You can't tell me nothing. Yes, raw reality, remember that. Kung Fu with David Carradine. Yes. So I know that you are not a 22-year-old in saying that. But let me show you a comment. True that. Many black people want to be associated with white people because they want white people's validation and acceptance, because in their subconscious mind, they think white is better. Yes. Yes. I spoke about the old grandma the other day, who was the sweetest person. Not my grandmother, I'm just saying. I never knew my grandparents because they passed on before I got a chance to do so. My grandmother in Jamaica, she passed away when I was very young and still in the crib. But I had a visitation because she wanted to connect with me so bad. We were planning that trip, but that connection never happened on a physical level. So this is why I know that there's so much more to this existence than we could ever grasp. And so we need to not allow what we see, what we're shown, the manipulation of our mind, the stereotypes that keep us lodged in a place where we cannot grow. I say this in an unashamed manner. We are the strongest. We are the wisest. We are the most connected on a spiritual level if we choose to be. Because even our sense of spirituality has been tainted by the carnal things that we feel on this earth. We all have the potential to have that third eye. We all have the potential to have that gift of discernment. That's often used as a Christian term, but that explains it the best. The sixth sense, whatever you want to call it. But just like when you eat a bad diet and wake up in the morning and there's stuff dried up, discharge, encrusted in your eyes, and you got to wipe that stuff out of your eyes. You can get flashes of what you see in front of you, but there's something blocking your view, so you got to rub your eyes. And that's your body screaming out, discharging substances, all that mayonnaise you ate on that hero and slapped on more. All of those extra donuts that you ate, and your body is trying to get it out, not just through the obvious place, but through your breath, through your skin, through your eyes, every orifice that you have. It's trying to get rid of it. So you have the potential for great sight. But your eye, your spiritual eye, is clogged up. This is why so many of us can do good deeds and turn around and be just as evil as you want to be. Like a vehicle that doesn't have enough transmission fluid in it. And on the automatic transmission, you press and give it some gas and you expect it to go to the next gear, and it slips. And you hear the engine racing. And sometimes it catches. But you know, you better get some transmission fluid in that vehicle so the transmission doesn't get damaged. So for us, the transmission fluid is the knowledge of where we are and where we need to be. Imagine driving a vehicle where the windshield is blacked out. Imagine driving a vehicle where the dashboard is blacked out. You can't see where you're going. You can't see the state of your vehicle, whether you're low as far as your alternator and it's not recharging, your fuel is low, your oil is low. You don't know what state that you're in. You don't know where your blip is on the radar screen. We have to be reminded that we are in a bad situation here. This is not to speak negatively, because again, I say kudos to those who are successful, and I don't mean just in a monetary fashion. I'm speaking on every category of being a man. On the banner in front of you, you don't see malehood, because all of us who are male and born male, we're male. The equipment is standard to know that we are male. Some of us have a little longer bit of the amenity than others, but that does not define you as a man. If it went over your head, let me say it like this. The penis size and length and girth doesn't define you as a man. So even if you have a little wee-wee, you can be more of a man than a male who has a penis swinging down to his knees. And that's the damn problem with us. We've been made to think that that's power. In a way, it could be. Not because of length, but because of the children you produce. And if you're a true man, you have wisdom to put something worthwhile and productive into their head. And you can build an empire. But what good is it if you have the longest penis that you feel proud of and you impregnate many women, but you ain't got a damn ounce of sense in your head to raise an army righteously, to raise an empire? That's the easy part. To put something in an orifice, move around a little bit, feel good, and eject some sperm to hit egg. I bet when you go to the kitchen and make a meal, you don't just whip up the ingredients and just walk away and not put it in the oven on top of the skillet. You finish the job. So we have so much unfinished business in our community. And when I say community, I don't mean just a certain neighborhood. I mean the community of our mind, the things that unite us, the things that we have in common as far as our adversity. But I don't want to define it as far as just what's coming against us. Just like the song. What was it? Roberta Flack? Remind me, Raw Reality. Where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love? I can't sing, y'all, but y'all know that song. Where is the love? See, we have adversities now. Internally, that we're responsible for, and externally. We can defeat both. And we always had adversities internally and externally, in our mind and externally coming at us. But the difference is, and I was born in 1963, but most of my consciousness was formed in the 70s. And I hate to use that word consciousness, but that's just verbal shorthand. My awareness of the world, which started in the 60s, in the late 60s at single-digit ages, but it bloomed because I didn't have to ask as many questions as the 70s moved on. My mother and father were there to answer everything and tell me the real nitty-gritty. But what I see is that we have less love for each other, and I know it's by design. And how do we bring that back when we're like an entity that enters the body as a virus, or we have some type of disorder where our own body eats up itself in some rare disease that a doctor can't figure out what it is? Well, in 2023, that's us. In 2023, many of us, not all of us, are worse off from the prior generations. And by the way we think and how we react as opposed to acting, the worst is yet to come. Do I want this to happen? No. That's why myself and many others, and great big shout out to Professor Griff from Serious Minds. I went in this chat discreetly and he gave me a big shout out. I appreciate it. I've been trying to get you on this show for years, brother, and I know that you're quite busy, but I'm going to try real hard and possibly give you a call later on, as well as the family that was there that comes to this show and goes to his show. We all have different talents and abilities as far as our way of communicating to reach people. And Professor Griff has been living this his whole life. And me being someone in his age group, I've been a fan of the music of Public Enemy that they tried to eliminate because it was teaching too many people too many things. But isn't it something how many of our brothers who have a limited way of thinking cherish their organ, their sexual organ? And I often wondered why. But it came to me as a teenager, because I was always one who was a person of deep thought. And it hit me. For some black males, that's all they have. For some black males, that's the only area in which they feel that they have any semblance of power. And I began to test that theory by observing what's around me. And it was true. Not in every instance. Of course not in every instance. I'm not saying that all black men are like this. Again, kudos to the black males who have turned it around and become men. Whether it was through the influence of someone in their family or out of their family, or some form of self-realization, self-correction that brought them into that place. There are many, but we need much more than that. And I began to think about slavery. And I began to think about the plantation. And I said to myself, they used to use the biggest and strongest of us who are on the plantation as males. Not to say that there weren't men there, but they couldn't be men in that system. If they were, they pretty much were killed, lynched, done away with, had fear put into them when they buck broke the biggest and strongest who didn't obey or rebelled or seemed to have an attitude with the authority by force that the slave master had. So the tallest, strongest of the slaves were brought in to breed. It was okay to be caught having sex with any woman. Some had wives, but oftentimes it didn't last long, because if you were sold to another plantation under another slave master, you can kiss wifey goodbye. It was looked at as a temporary arrangement to soothe you for a time, as you had to deal with wondering if you were going to lose your life that very day. So they were bred, and the slave master loved it. He might have been having sex with the woman you were breeding with, hence the different complexions at that particular time, although naturally we are full spectrum because we created everything that walks this earth. But it was okay. So fast forward into the present, and we try to get married, but we don't even know how to stay married if we are into our malehood and not manhood. We don't think twice about going through the process, the very pleasurable process of breeding. And because there's no commitment in our subconscious mind by the way we were brought up from slavery, it's easy to leave a woman with a baby. And the government has no problem pitching in to help subsidize that fatherless child. The same way it was in slavery. The slave master didn't mind feeding that child, keeping that child in line. Now they'll lynch the baby too, molest the baby too. But that was more male power if it was a man, and that was another woman to be bred to make more, because to have a slave, you are rich because it's going to produce for you. So the more slaves you have, you can sell them. If you had a woman there who was part of your plantation and you adored something about her physically, well, you might have kept her aside because you might want to knock on her door at midnight. So they were running through all of us. And it must be noted that some of the slave masters, they may have looked at some of the male slaves and had a twisted lust in their heart. So not only were the black males who were there breeders, they were being stuck in places where only things are made to come out. See? So now we have these spirits on us. We had it injected in us. We had to deal with the free-for-all for hundreds of years of this indulgence. And after we were set free, we still did these things. And then some of us try hard to do it right. And this is why back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, the majority of black households, I don't have the numbers here on hand, but you have heard this before, and I can pull it up if you need me to. Not right now because I'm on a verbal flow. But then it was at a high point, and we were on our way. And we had the nerve, I say it that way because that's how they thought, we had the nerve to say that we deserve equality. But they never saw it that way. Hence the civil rights movement, which brought things to light. And many of us at that time dealt with it in different ways. Usually it's said we had the Martin Luther King Jr. way of thinking and the Malcolm X way of thinking. But Martin Luther King Jr. started to come over to that ideology of Malcolm X, and he had to go research it. It's all there. But this is why they don't want us to connect with the true history and erase our history, to recalibrate ourselves, to know where we went off the path. We went off the righteous trajectory. We are lost again now, and we don't know where to start. We're like the 5 blind men feeling up on the elephant. What do I mean by that? You had one blind man feeling the ear of the elephant, trying to describe to the other 4 blind men what the elephant was. Well, from what I can feel, I'm feeling the big ear of the elephant, and the elephant has got to be like clothes hanging out to dry on the line. And the other person is saying, no, I'm feeling this big, long trunk-like thing that we call the trunk. And the elephant is really like a long hose that you'd use to vacuum things up. Then the third blind man said, no, you all are liars. There's something wrong with you. I'm feeling something part of the elephant here that feels like a tree trunk. So an elephant has got to be like a tree trunk. That's the state of us right now. Trying to define who we are in a very fragmented way. You see? So we are lost. Yes, we come from different parts of the world. Yes, we have different cultures within the melanated race. But we fight hard to show how different we are and want to argue over that when we're all under attack. We waste time stating that I'm this and I'm that. I'm FBA, Foundational Black American. I'm ADOS, American Descendants of Slavery. I'm indigenous. I was always here. I'm LGBTQ. I don't know nothing about you Negroes. I got a white man with me. We're so sick. Brother Matthew, good to see you again. Saw you on the show last night. I greeted you on Professor Griff's show. I'm glad that we're going around to places and people where we can really keep ourselves in the right state of mind. Exactly. Willie Lynch on steroids, raw reality. Willie Lynch on steroids. And it's worse. We don't see it. And we're told that we're being elevated. We are told that we're making progress. Well, you people had Barack Obama. You people have Oprah Winfrey. You people have Tyler Perry. You people have a TD Jakes. All these Masonic age agents. Come on, man. And you project them out to the world to make us feel as though we're going crazy because we know what we're feeling. And you project these people to say, we can do it. But you take a handful and you allow a handful to say, we as a people have come a long way. You elevate them. At the same time, the system fights harder to keep us down. But we have the power easily to defeat the system with self-discipline and an awareness of where we stand and what must be done, the task at hand, and it will take a while. We didn't get in this position overnight, and it's going to take us a while, but still, in my mind, we're going to fight like hell to get it all done now. But how are we going to get it done if we don't know what to do? That's right, the Black Boule. Those bastards that sell us out while smiling with us as they give out Thanksgiving turkeys to our poor neighborhoods. But they make sure to look out over the horizon to see if there's any independent Black voice that really and truly wants to liberate the people. And they made YouTube. Now they have all of these YouTube revolutionaries. You can call me one. It's all right if you don't know me and think that's all I do is talk. But there's so much more to me that meets the eye, and I moved over to the motherland for a reason. It ain't over yet. There's so much more to come. And I'm not elevated because I moved here. Some say I ran. I repositioned myself, fool, if you say I ran. For those who say I ran, what in the hell are you doing in the belly of the beast to be effective as far as the righteous aggressions that we need to execute. Because you don't got no tanks. You ain't got no guns. You ain't got no planes. But you coming against me on the way to the job of the white man to punch that clock, and you better not be late, Sambo. And I'm not putting anybody down who is on a job. We still have to get this money to survive, but we can have a plan to get off the plantation, and it doesn't mean you have to come to Africa. You can be right there or anywhere in the world, because the cross threads are always on our backs wherever we go, because of these stereotypes that have permeated and infiltrated the minds of the world, that they already have an opinion of us before we even arrive. So we're in a jacked up situation that we need to deal with from within first. And once we are recalibrated and rewired and ready for battle, nothing can stop us as we move in unison. I just had to say those few words. I jotted down some things that I want to speak about. And I wanted to say this, and I put this in the community tab. While there are many African American or American African men who are succeeding in life, many have failed miserably living in the United States. And I speak of the United States because this is what I know. I'm in Ghana right now, and I'm picking up on a lot of other things that I will speak about when I know that it's a fact. But while the statistics are heartbreaking, we must face the issues and components so many are not living up to the levels in many categories that other races of men are conquering. And it doesn't mean it's hunky-dory with the other races. They're incarcerated too. They're drug addicts too, and dealers. They're getting locked up too. So we're focusing on us because we're usually the ones on the lowest end of the totem pole. And yes, we know that failure runs across all races to a great degree. But the levels of incarceration, low academic achievement, low expectations, lack of a sense of responsibility, attraction to hedonistic, non-productive endeavors, as well as a lack of respect to the community and family responsibility, is at an all-time low. And it's pushed on a psychological level on those coming behind us. So while we think it's cute as mothers and grandmothers to encourage our 4- and 5-year-old daughters and 6-year-old daughters to get it, playing some filthy music with some filthy lyrics. My neck, my back, my coochie, and my crack. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. And our young daughters are learning that there's value. I'm not saying there's value, but in their perception to shake their moneymaker and whine and grind and learn the best ways to move, to titillate men and entertain women at parties where they say, go get it, girl. You go get it, girl. What are you doing to their minds? You shouldn't even be putting that indoctrination in their mind from young. And you wonder why they're coming home pregnant at 13 and 14, if not 12. I don't know what it is that I could have done. I worked the hardest jobs, and I did overtime, and I tried my best to do the best thing, and I don't know what it is that I did. Give me 1 second, family. There is a worker coming to the front door, and I need to let him in. Give me 90 seconds tops, or less.
So let's check back into history, which rewards all research and tells us plainly that before the white man gained entry to the East, he was living in the caves of Europe, a ravenous beast, eating juniper roots and eating flesh raw, till God sent Moses to civilize him and teach him the law. Then following Marco Polo, an explorer, he gained entry into Asia and Africa. From China, he took silk and gunpowder. From India, he took jute, manganese, and rubber. He raped Africa of her diamonds and her gold. From the Mideast, he took barrels of oil untold, raping, robbing, and murdering everything in his path. The whole black world has tasted of the white man's wrath. So, my friend, it's not hard to tell. A white man's heaven is a black man's hell.
Okay, family, sorry about that. When I saw the car pull up, I thought it was someone else, but that was Mrs. Scurv coming back. She went to the nursery early. She don't play. She don't play. I even kind of got off track from where I was flowing, but we'll be back. I'll be back. I'll kind of catch up on that. Yes, our daughters coming home pregnant at young ages. Yes, I know in different cultures across the world that as soon as the menstrual cycle begins, that it's okay in those cultures to have children. But in the society that we live in, don't think it's 12 and 13-year-old boys and impregnating 12 and 13-year-old girls. We have a lot of sick puppies out here that are predatory, and we spoke about that the other day. And oftentimes when there's a subject that I speak about, I'm gonna bring it up again because it's all interconnected. We cannot remove one category or a topic of what we're speaking about in a way as when you're cutting a cake. You know, you're cutting a wedding cake or a birthday cake. Nobody looking, you're trying to get a bigger piece. That's why you have a person who serves it out. So we think we can just talk about one thing and remove it. That's the Western way of thinking. It's the same way when you go to a hospital to get some treatment for an ailment, and they just deal with that physical issue. But there's an emotional, a mental, and a spiritual element to that sickness, that disease. But we never acknowledge that. So unless we address the spiritual, mental, and emotional aspects of what has manifested in a physical way, oftentimes that same ailment will come back or resurface as something else. We talk about the dietary, that's wonderful. But if you screwed up in the head or twisted emotionally or spiritually off, you can go to the gym damn 7 days a week and eat perfect. Those sicknesses will creep into your body. So this is why we have to keep ourselves in line. Hence my move to the motherland. I can have a little more peace and quiet here. I don't have to deal with the stresses that are targeted toward me here. Yes, we have the colonial mind of the black man and woman here, but they don't know. And me being who I am, I can help them with that. And they're more receptive, even though they resist. I can deal with that more. I'm an oddball out here, right? I'm different. I'm not the typical American African that they are used to dealing with. So this gravity is lighter for me. I'm like young Superman when he was put into that rocket by his father because he knew that the planet was going to blow up. So let me shoot my son out in the rocket. At least he won't blow up. If he doesn't make the rocket trip, well, he would have been blown up if he didn't try. And he lands on Earth, and the gravity is different. So now on his native planet, he was a regular dude. But now he came to a new planet and he realizes that he has powers far beyond that of the normal man. So I can recharge here. I can put in a distance my life and dissect it in peace and have the answers come to me better. So I am healing up from all that I've had to deal with in America. The miseducational system, the police harassment and getting beat up by them 11 cops back in 1989, the twisted relationships that I had. If I didn't have the parental guidance, now I made decisions on my own to do some things. And I realized now that I was protected. But I had the foundation put in me, so now I can dip in to that toolbox of the attributes that my parents gave me, as opposed to reacting and being distracted. Because that's what a lot of us do in America. We react to the stimuli put in front of us. And we're being controlled. If you react, you're being controlled. You're not acting. You have to act. You have to think first. You just don't give a knee-jerk reaction. You take back control of how you move through this life. If you go and break up a fight between two brothers, two black men, and you know that you have the solution to speak to the both of them to bring peace between the both of them, and in you breaking up that physical fight, all because I've been there. I might have been the shortest and the lightest, but I used to do, when I worked in corrections, I used to work as a bouncer in a couple of nightclubs in Orlando. So I may not have had the physical strength, which I feel I still do, in comparison to the burly 6'8" and 6'7" dudes that work with me in the jail. But I can hold my own. But in times when I went in to break a fight up, oftentimes the guys that were fighting were bigger than me. I'm 5'10", 240 pounds. I'm kind of sizable for my height, but I had to be faster. I duck down and run through the crowd where they couldn't see me. And when I would get into that storm of black male testosteronized aggression at each other, more so than not, I took a blow to the body that wasn't meant for me. And a couple of times, not because they were aiming at me, but they were aiming at the other guy, I took a straight punch to the face. One night, I caught a bloody nose. I thought my nose was broken. I could have either decided to react, or, as I did, I acted and chose not to get angry and get caught up. And now we have three of us fighting because I understood what was going on and it wasn't meant for me. And my goal in acting was to bring peace. Because if truth be told, I knew both of these brothers from the jail that I worked in when they were incarcerated. And they were both good brothers. Now, if they were on a low vibrational, you can't reach them type of vibe, I'm just going to yank them apart and that's it. Now, if you won't go outside in the parking lot and shoot each other, I hope not. But what I saw of those brothers in the jail, that they were salvageable and very intelligent, because I spent hours, days, weeks, months, and years with some of these guys. So we have to know how to act. Not acting fake and acting as an acting, but act where you choose your movements. You choose how you're going to move, as opposed to reacting to what people throw out there for you. Because we'll have people say things to get a rise out of you. Now, either you can get angry and react because they controlled you with their words, or you can deal with it by not saying anything in reaction at all and acting Now, sometimes you can choose to act, to verbally rip them apart and have them up the next night wondering, why did I mess with Lance? I might choose to act and verbally rip you apart and tell you some things you didn't even thought I knew about you. And say some things that you thought were only in your subconscious mind, secrets and hidden. I'm a good assessor of character. I'm a person who strategizes, not because I want to come at people. When I know you have a certain feeling in your heart, I'm going to read you like a cheap novel, and you're going to wish you didn't come at me that certain way. As in boxing, they call it effective aggression. So you can go in the ring and throw punches, 1,000,000 punches in the first round, and none of them land. That's not effective. So this is why in our days, we have to understand that we have to pick our fights. We have to choose our battles. We must execute effective aggression in this shark-infested place called America and beyond. We can say the same for the UK. So that at the end of the day, we can say to ourselves, we acted in a positive way to affect our lives and the lives of those that we cross paths with, to influence them to raise their vibration. And if you can say that, then you have achieved a great amount, even if it seems minuscule. But to plant that seed, to change our thinking and change our trajectory so that we are just not males, but we become men. Because there's a lot of things put out there by these people in the entertainment industry, in the educational system, and all these different systems to egg us on to only be males who the only thing we can be proud of is the size of our dicks. Yeah, I said it. We on the corner. Young lady going to work, dressed up nice and decent. But since we feel that we only have power, and this is not all of us, what's the first thing out of our mouths as we sitting there on the corner doing you know what and I don't know what? And this is not all of us. I'm not feeding into the stereotypes, but I'm speaking about a very specific scenario. See, I don't have to verbally plagiarize any people out here on YouTube. You got these fools who they want to be so spiritual and I am this and I am that. And their lives are just jacked up if you really only knew who they were. I'm speaking from experience, and I will speak on shortcomings. I will speak on bad decisions because I've made bad decisions. I've had shortcomings. I've had poor judgment. But in assessing that particular scenario where they got the brother who's up early in the morning not to go and secure his family on a financial level, on a security level, he just out there. I'm not saying he's selling drugs. He just riffraff. He been up all night. So we got this gorgeous, decent, righteous, purpose-driven sister. She may not be driving at the time, but she's going to take public transportation. She might have to walk a couple of blocks, city blocks, to get to the bus stop, to get to the train, to go to where the cabs are. And this brother tries to speak to her. Good morning, sister. Her feet don't stop because she's got somewhere to go. Her time is precious. So she says, good morning, brother, and keeps going. And he's saying, well, can you come over and talk to me? And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to get to work. Oh, you think you too good for me? You think that you better than me? Here come the low self-esteem coming out. Because you don't feel good about your lives. You don't feel good about your existence. You're producing nothing except a bad, hard time in a bad situation. Now, all of a sudden here, this young lady who gave you no reason to call her the B word. You call her all kind of itches and hoes and hookers and, yeah, you scared of this dick because I'll break your back out. Nigga, is that the only damn thing you think you can do? Well, yeah, that's the only thing that you think you can do. But if you had something going for yourself, if you had aspirations and goals and dreams that you're manifesting incrementally every day, and a young lady sees you about what you're doing, doesn't mean you have to be a multimillionaire. Doesn't mean you have to be able at that point to support a family, but she can see a trajectory that this brother's going places. And we have the women who may not be on a high vibration like that see you as a meal ticket. Well, he going places, so I'm going to give him a little something, and we ain't got to wear no condom. But I bet you if I can't get no money out of him, I'm going to bring him down to child support court, just like the breeders that they had in slavery. And massa is the government who will take care of you because you've now become a tool with no father in your life that has the wisdom to guide you from malehood to manhood, from femalehood to womanhood. And the mother has to be in there too. So we're repeating a cycle that never left. Well, you people, I don't know what's going on. Slavery is over. It's been changed over the dynamics, but it's the same thing. They didn't have smartphones back in the day. If they did, you'd see some things that you couldn't imagine happening. But we have smartphones that are used in either a positive way or a negative way. We put so much stuff out there that's negative that we latch on to. So now we don't have to tell our 5- and 6-year-old daughters anymore, go ahead, get it, girl, she getting it. Oh my God, you're going to break all the boys' hearts. Why would you say that? You got her undulating in a sexual manner of something that she should not even know. Let the child be a damn child. That here you are injecting your sick, twisted mentality, which is sick and twisted because you should not be encouraging a young girl to be aware of this stuff. If you're an adult and you're behind closed doors with your man that ain't sick and twisted, do what you want to do. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you. Just sock it to me. It's okay. But don't let that spill over to the children. And you mothers who hate the fact that these men out here want to be players and broke down pimps, you mad at that. But you have a son who may not have a father around. This is not the scenario. I'm speaking of specific situations. Because growing up in America from young, I observed a lot of things, and that's my knowledge base on top of the things that I have self-taught myself to understand. You got these young sons. They're in single-digit ages also, 8, 9 years old. And here you are, talking to one of your girlfriends at the park, saying, boy, talking to your son now, boy, you a handsome young man. And when you get older, you're going to have all the girlfriends. This is a mother telling the son this. And as a son, you revere what your mother says. So now you don't see yourself as an intellectual being. You don't see yourself as a spiritual being. She's still in a carnal level of thinking. She might be a good person, but you're reinforcing what this system and society wants us to be. Men who, or males who, not men, but males who think with the wrong head, who think that pleasure is the only goal that should be executed when you deal with a woman. Pleasure comes with a woman when you're a real man after you earned it. You can get any old low-down, low-vibrational woman to crack her legs open and you climb on top of her and you're not spiritually in tune. You're not mentally in tune. But you got that rhythm physically and you're using each other as glorified friction providers. So after you conceive, what else is there to do except move on to the next one and repeat the process? And now we have a big mess. Men don't do that. And so when you are a man, you don't just sit off to the side and let it happen when you see this. You influence the males around you by being a man. You don't always have to sit down and talk with them, because you might have a mother or another male who is a father to that child who doesn't want you saying the righteous stuff, because it shines a light on what they did not do for that child. So if you walk tall and you carry yourself in a decent manner, and as much as you can afford, it doesn't mean it has to be designer clothes, but you dress clean, you look clean, you look above the atmosphere in which you may be passing through or live in. Because there are a lot of decent young men and men, not males, and women, ladies, in the hood, but it doesn't define who they are. They may not make enough money to move somewhere else. They might be there for a time to save money. They might be a student, who knows? But your atmosphere and your environment should not define you. As a male, hopefully you can see this and think out of the box that you've been put in, the barrel where all the other crabs are who have the crab mentality. Let me talk about a few things. I didn't know I was going to rant this long, right? But there are a lot of things that go on with us, and I'm going to throw out some ideas. I may not even go in deep on it. This is not a statistic show where I'm giving you numbers and bore you, because we know how it is. But I jotted these down on paper. And I'll say half of American Africans, what many people call African American and Black Americans, born poor, stay poor. We're talking about money. We're talking about going beyond the environment and not adopting the rhythms and mentalities and lack of information that keep you poor. Another thing I wanted to say, and all of these are talk show topics that I'll be doing. Most Black middle-class kids are downwardly mobile. Most Black middle-class kids, I'm going to say it, I'm not trying to throw off on anybody's child, but they are made to be stupid, because it's a downward intergenerational social mobility from the middle to the bottom. And it's a very common thing. 7 out of 10 Black Americans, I'll say Black Americans now, born into the middle class fall down lower these days. You see? They're going to fall down the ladder unless you infuse them with something to go against what the system is pushing on us. If a hurricane is coming and you live down in the South, in Florida, Alabama, Texas, you know, because of that weatherman who's talking about Doppler radar, we have a system forming in the mid-Atlantic. And the trajectory seems to be coming toward, we can't say precisely right now, but here are our computer models of where it could go. And in the epicenter of this computer model of this storm trajectory, it seems as though there's a big chance that's going to make landfall in South Florida or Central Florida, or come up the Gulf and hit New Orleans, or come up the Gulf and hit Texas, or swing back around and hit Tampa. But as the days get closer, you can define the trajectory more the closer it gets. So why would you be stupid and not nail up your windows? Why would you be stupid and let your lawn furniture stay out by the pool or stay outside because it's going to blow away? Why would you be stupid and not have some type of solar power to power up certain things that you need? Why would you be so stupid not to have a couple of days worth of water, dry foods, raisins, oats, dried fruit, meals that are prepared that you can put in glass jars, that you can live without power, live without water? Have that designated room in the middle of your home that in case the roof gets ripped off, You're safe. And when you build a house these days, anyway, you should do that. I'm in a place where there are no hurricanes. This is where hurricanes come from. I wonder why. Y'all know why on a spiritual level. The path of the slave ships that came from Africa over to America. That's where the hurricanes travel. That cannot be a coincidence. But that's the key. We have to know where we're going to be going. We have to understand that this thing called black wealth barely exists. We have people who have things. We have people who have cars and houses that they bought on credit. And we do have some black people who are wealthy, but it's far and few between. You'll see them on the magazines, and it gives us a false sense of accomplishment. We're making strides. But as an overall people, we are not, especially in America. And when people do have that kind of wealth, 9 times out of 10, they're part of the boule. They can't share the wealth. And I don't mean give it away. I'm not asking you to give away anything. But they can't set up institutions that we need to make ourselves better, because the one who's over them will disapprove, and they'll find it hard to maintain the wealth that they think that they alone made. But they were afforded that because of their willingness to be compromised and controlled. It's no fact that most black families are headed by a single parent. Kudos to the mothers who take care of their children and do the right thing, but it'd be much better if you had a man by your side. A man, not the male that impregnated you, but a man. Big difference. If you don't know the difference, y'all need to just get on off of this stream. Male and man, 2 different things. Black students attend worse schools overall. Yes. Black students make up 16% of the public school population. But the average black student attends a school that's 50% black. Not that mixing with white folks is going to make it better. But if you're in perfect health and you want to go visit somebody who has the flu really bad, are you going to go up there to that person and sit next to them and hug them up and kiss them up on their mouth? They got snot and coughing and the room stinks. You know, when the person got the flu, you go in there, you smell that sick smell. Because they coughing and hacking and the air is tainted. All of a sudden later on, you got an itch in the back of your throat. And we make that noise, right? You hear it? You start coughing. And we say, oh my God, I think I caught the flu. Why? Well, you were up with the people who had the flu. And many of our black peers when we're young. Now, from what I see, are caught up in social media, caught up in all, like the old Southerners used to say, caught up in the devilment. And I'm not believing the stereotypes. No, but they fall victim to the stereotypes because that's the bar that they aim for. They got all these songs out. What was his name? From Florida. Baby, I'm a thug. I don't know what this world is coming to, but I know one thing. This is the life I live, 'cause baby, I'm a thug. It's a catchy tune. I actually like the song for the creative images that they put in the video. It's a funny video, but me as a grown man can filter through and not let that influence me. Our children do not have that ability. We can laugh at a joke that doesn't seem quite right because we can filter through because our minds are right. But you can't repeat certain jokes in front of your children and expect a different result. You can't do it. But here's a couple of things I jotted down, and we're going to move on. And all of these topics that we speak on the Lancescurv show is not going to be complete in just an hour or 90 minutes. This is just stimulation to maybe think a little different or think along the lines that you've always been thinking, because those who are watching and in the chat room, I'm not telling you something you don't know. Maybe there's a slice of something by the way I say it that you say, hey, I wasn't hip to that angle. But y'all are here because you understand. And hopefully there's 5 or 10 people here out of the 34. And this is on this platform. This is broadcast right now across a whole lot of Twitch, 2 Facebook pages, Twitter. What else? What else? Let me look at this thing here. What else? LinkedIn. Rumble. We're live on Rumble. Every time I go live here now, we're live on Rumble. Unless I don't have the time to set up everything, because I got to take time and set these things up and link things up. And then afterward, I got to put it on the site and add in the links that I use to talk on the show. That's why you all need to go to Lancescurv.com. It has 22 and a half years, almost 23 years of the work that I've put out. So I'm not just some talking head. The political illustrations, the written articles over the years, the interviews with people that you probably don't even know I interviewed, because I'm going after some heavyweights soon. This is not some late minute midlife crisis, narcissistically driven fad to feel good that people are looking at me. I can put the camera on and show you right now. I'm the same guy. But I can pick my nose better when I'm just playing with y'all. But yeah, education. What's the issue with education in Black males? Low academic achievement. See, we learn a little different than what this system presents. We're intuitive. We have this rhythm. We have this way. I learned it a long time ago from a video I saw, rest in power, Dr. Laila Africa, whose books I read from back in the 80s. And I kept them with me because I was so fascinated with what he was saying. Now, I understood already through the teachings of my parents what was going on, but the way he broke it down, he went in deep. And I was fanatical. I wouldn't leave the house without carrying the book that he had written called Nutricide. I suggest everyone get that book and all the other books that he had, but Nutricide, spelled the way it sounds. Let me just go ahead and just put that name in the chat room. It's hard for me to type and talk at the same time. And many of you already have that book, but I'm going to put it here. It was written back in the 80s. I may get the spelling wrong, but it was Dr. Oh God. How do I spell the first name? I may have the first name wrong. I think it was 1 L, 2 L's, but actually one. O Africa. And I know Africa was spelled with a K. Correct me on that first name if I'm wrong. Okay, I think I got it. Visually, I think I got it. Nutricide is the name of the book. Yeah. Google Nutricide. But I believe I have the spelling of his name correct. But if you get most of it in a search, it will pull up. If you have to search, yeah, exactly. Did I get it wrong, Brother Kwame? The name. But whatever, Nutricide is the name of the book. That is a very important book to this day, because he was talking about how they're using food as a weapon against us. And I have a lot to say about that. Always have a lot to say about that. We might talk about that again tomorrow in a different angle. Low academic achievement is the issue. What's the remedy? Improve access to quality education, mentorship programs, and community support for American African students. Community support. And address resource disparities in school. Because usually the schools in the hood, right, you're going to get less interest. There's less expectation. It's all about pushing them along. And they didn't grasp this concept with this lesson, or for half of the time of the school year. They've been failing their tests. You can pad the results of the test, but push them along. They're not going to amount to anything anyway, and they really won't if their academic scores are low. But how are you going to test African students with a Eurocentric way of thinking and testing? They think different than us. And Dr. Lila Africa was saying, aside from the book Nutricide, that us as a people, we learn different. And we tell people as adults often, and the children don't say it, but some people say, oh, you know, I'm not feeling that. I'm not grasping it. You got to tell it to me a little better because I'm not feeling that. So you have to tell them in a way maybe that stokes the emotions to get them to learn something. Now the next person might say, you know, I'm not really hearing what you're saying. So now you've got to present it in a way with words now that they can hear it. And then you have a person say, oh man, I'm not seeing it. I'm just not seeing it. So for that person, you may have to present graphs, statistics, and studies in front of them that they can see. So when you're trying to get somebody to understand and teach something, because we're all teachers as parents, as people who have been around for a couple of years, we don't have to have a certificate to be validated by the enemy. We can teach. We're supposed to teach. We are the first teachers. And this is why homeschooling is the best. Because when a child can relate to you from the womb, coming on up, you're not trying to push something in some different type of strange, weird energy that doesn't fit to teach your child. That's why they're not interested in that. They've been hearing your voice from the womb. What better voice is it to teach the child? Employment. What's the issue? Higher unemployment rates. What's the remedy? Implement workforce development programs, job training, and equal employment opportunities. Encourage entrepreneurship and business ownership. Many of us are not going to go for that because we're not motivated from within. But if you do or are on the job or trying to get a job, when you get that job, you should be thinking about entrepreneurship and business ownership. And it doesn't have to be in the traditional format and manner. You always see the issue. You always see the visual watching these YouTube videos. And even back in TV, back in the 80s and 70s, a little white girl on her front lawn selling lemonade for 5 cents a small cup. That's a business. And if you're a proper community, you're going to say, you know what? Let me support her to encourage her, not just for the 5 cents, because you might go over there and hand her $2. And she'll say, we're talking about a black girl now. What's this for? I'm only charging 5 cents. This is to encourage you. Now, what you're supposed to do with this is not go to the white man's store and go buy candy. You can get a better stand. You can buy more sweetener for the lemonade, more lemons. You can now go with everybody else who's going to give her extra money. You might turn around and give her $20. Go make some flyers. Or come by with your parents to this event, and I'll help set you up. I want you to come there and sell beverages, not just lemonade, but I'm going to help you go into business. I want to speak to your parents about this. If you know something in the community, teach it to the children. There's so many teachers who are retired, sitting up inside the house, getting old and gray, having so much knowledge that could be taught. There's so many plumbers that are unemployed or employed that are sitting up in the house watching a football game when you can take 2 or 3 hours in your community, in your neighborhood, and say, hey, let me know when we have an issue with your plumbing, something that needs to be fixed, even if it's just a leak. And I want to bring a few of the children with me. And I want the parents to come if they can, but have some parents to come because we don't want any accusations levied against me by jealous parents. And we're going to go to Home Depot or Lowe's. And for those who are not in America who know, those are the big box stores where you can get home improvement type material, painting, tiles, plumbing stuff, electrical stuff, lumber, building materials, stuff like that. And we're going to go and assess what the problem is. And then we're going to go and buy what is needed as a plumber. And I'm going to show you my tools. We're going to show you the tools at Home Depot and the purpose of it. I'm going to teach you everything that I know in plumbing within an hour or two. And then we're going to go to your daddy or your mama's house and fix that leak. Now they have an awareness that they can do it themselves. Now they have an awareness that they can fulfill a need in their community, and you don't have to go and call someone who doesn't look like you into your community for them to charge you a high price for a simple remedy. We got all this time in the world. We're surfing the net. We need to put hands on each other. I don't mean touching anybody. I mean hands on organically with the knowledge to share. That's the remedy. Criminal justice, what's the issue? High incarceration rates. That hurts. What's the remedy? Reform the criminal justice system. Well, I don't think that's going to happen too fast, right? Promote rehabilitation. We know that they don't do that. They like the high level of recidivism for you to come back. I've even heard fellow correction officers when I worked in the jail and when I worked in the prison, oh, you're going out now. You'll be back soon. What kind of rehabilitation is that to put in somebody's mind? And half of the COs that I work with, they were crooks anyway on different levels. They just didn't get caught. Reduce harsh sentencing. See, this is going to take some of us to get involved effectively in the political system. Not to, oh, I'm going to give you a vote for me. No, we're supposed to be self-sufficient. And with these politicians, we're supposed to make them jump to what we want, but we're not unified as a community. So they take our vote for granted. I'm not with that though. But there's certain aspects of our life that we need to come together and with our donation money, say, hey, we're giving you this money now. And this is what we want you to do. You're not going to dictate what you're going to promise to do. This is what you must do. And if you don't do it, we're going to call you out on it and you ain't getting up in there again. And keep on them. Okay, what is your plan? When do you plan on starting this? How is it going to work? Call them every week. Show up at the office. Show up at the rallies that they do for other races of people, which of course, if they're a politician, I don't trust them. They're not there to do anything, but you can use them as the tool that they are and call them out. For those who are into the politics, which there's so many of us, but year after year, every 4 years, there's a promise and nothing comes through. But on top of that, we're not sitting down. We're doing it ourselves, right? Support re-entry programs for formerly incarcerated individuals. You who have businesses, why aren't you hiring and mentoring those who are locked up before and have nowhere to go? Why can't we as a community demand from the business owners, if you're a small business, you don't have much money, but with governmental funds that we pay taxes for to build low-income housing for those who are coming out of incarceration. Because when you are incarcerated and you come out, you can be as rehabilitated as you want to be. But when your stomach is hungry and you got to eat, you might slip back into hustling a little bit just to make ends meet. Because for people who weren't even locked up and have great resumes, it's hard to get a job out here. So you want to subsidize everything else? Help to subsidize those who just came out. You say you want to rehabilitate, but have programs set up. You know, you quick to give out welfare to all of these migrants who are coming, all the Ukrainians who are coming while you kick out Haitians. You say you ain't got no damn money for reparations, but you got all this money for Israel. You got all this money for Ukraine. But those descendants who built your country, you don't have a goddamn thing for it. What's up with you? This way you got to make them jump, but they can survive and overlook us because we ain't got no damn unity. That's what it is. Tell me about it. Fatherhood, issue, absentee fathers. Remedy, promote responsible fatherhood through education and support services. Encourage strong family units. We can't wait for America and the government of America and the people who don't like us, who think we're nothing anyway, to encourage strong family units. It's been embedded in our subconscious mind when we see a sister. And they all look good for the most part. They got this nice shape on them. You look at their backside, they got something on tight. What's the first thing you're thinking? Jumping on them and depositing some sperm. That is not encouraging strong family units, because after that, they had that song, After the Love Is Gone. You know, I'm notorious for changing around the words on songs growing up. Some of it were very lewd words, but they were funny. After the love is gone. Remember that song? Well, I used to say, after the sperm was shot, all the I love yous were forgot. And it's true. Dudes will tell you anything to get between your legs. But that's not encouraging strong family units. So that's why we need the community and our elders and those who have sense. You don't have to be over 60 and 70 years old to be effective. You can be that person who's a couple of years older than that person who's indulging in bad behavior. Unless you're doing it. But let them know you're more their peer than me. They might listen to you more than me. Even if you were a single mother who may have made a decision thinking that you were in love and realizing you were the only one feeling love, talk to the girls 2 and 3 and 4 years younger than you. Because see, I see it. I see what's happening. And oftentimes I've tried to talk to young ladies who are in that situation. They're feeling now empowered because of their sexuality, which that is nothing to feel empowered over the world. That is for that mate of yours who's committed to you to build a family and to build a community. But now you see the attention given to you where you had no attention or no father around, and they're giving you this male, fraudulent, fake attention, and it feels good. The sugar rush you get from an orange juice is the same as you get from a sugary lemonade. But the orange juice has a little more nutrition in it. So the love that you think you're feeling may be lust from him, but he's going to tell you in masquerade is something that you want to hear because he spotted the void in you, and now you're by yourself and pregnant. Talk to the other young ladies behind you to not fall victim to that, and encourage strong family units. But these days, family is only the mother and the children, and they accepted that. I don't care how good that dick feel or him putting his mouth on your clit and running. Nah, that feels good. But when real love and commitment is there, that's an extra special dessert to the meal that true love brings, and true commitment brings. Mental health, what's the issue? Mental health disparities. What's the remedy? Increase access to mental health services and reduce the stigma. Develop culturally sensitive mental health programs. The mental health programs that we have in our communities are just, it doesn't fit us. It's like getting some hand-me-down clothes that are 2 sizes too big. You got a little skinny kid, little skinny boy walking around with pants where the waistline is 10 inches bigger than what he is and longer. So he rolls it up and pulls it in on the belt, and it's all buckly around the waist. It doesn't fit. And many of us, there's a stigma. You know I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to say it. What do we say when we suggest that we need help or therapy? Mental health. We can't even say mental because the first thing out of our mouth, I ain't going there. I ain't crazy. I don't need no help. So you have lots of traumatized Black folks walking around in our community refusing help from the trauma that they endured, and the trauma that they endured leaves them deficient in the ways that they need to live their life, and deficient in ways that they need to function for the loved ones around them. So a mother can't be a full mother if they have mental health issues, but because of the stigma, we don't want to deal with it. The father can't be a full father. The husband can't be a full husband. The wife can't be a full wife. We, more than anybody else, need it more than anybody else, but we reject it more than anybody else because of the stigma of, I'm not crazy. Is your car crazy because it needs a tune-up? Is your front yard crazy because the lawn needs to be cut? Is that electrical box crazy because one of the breakers went off and you got a room or two with no lights? No, it needs to be dealt with. Let's talk about healthcare. What's the issue? Health disparities. That we don't think that we need to go and check ourselves up. Some of us check on our cars more, washing our cars, armor rolling the tires, checking out every little noise that happens with it because our pride and joy is something external over the body where we have only one liver, 2 kidneys, 2 lungs. You see what I mean? All of the wonderful systems that our body has, the digestive system, circulatory system, the nervous system, the system, and the one I used to like a whole lot, the reproductive system. Most men would agree to that. But if you do like that system, be there for your children. And you shouldn't be enjoying the dessert before the meal of commitment. But we need to increase access to mental health services that fit us and remove the stigma, because, see, we're under so much stress in very unique ways that the Eurocentric way of dealing with it, like I said before, like in Western medicine, if your foot is hurting, they address the physical foot. But they don't address the spiritual aspects of why your foot is hurting, the mental aspects as to why your foot is hurting, the emotional. When your emotions are off, it will manifest in a physical way. Aches and pains and headaches, because things ain't working right. Well, if you don't have your car right, it's going to start talking to you. Oh, that's the brakes. The engine starts making funny noises. The transmission is slipping. It's telling you. So just don't think when you take a pill to kill the symptoms that it's dealing with the source of disease in your body. And it's not just a physical thing. We got economic disparities. What's the issue? Income inequality. Of course we know. We get paid less on these jobs. They think nothing of us. Our expertise that runs these companies and these jobs never get paid in proportion to the value that we bring to the company. This is why with nepotism, companies that bring in their family members or people of their same race or community, they may not have the qualifications and the expertise that you have. But what do? They have little Johnny come over to you, black woman, so you can help him learn a few things that he doesn't know. And you, with your kind heart, you tell him everything you know. And 6 months later, he's your damn supervisor in a position that you've been trying to get for the last 7 or 8 years, but they always gave you an answer. Because that's their house. It's their house and they live here. So nepotism, they're going to bring their own, and you'll never get what you deserve. Income inequality. And they want to make it seem, and they will have some people that get paid good. They always have to have that little black spot on the sun today. They always got to have that token Negro who ain't going to go against or go and agree with what you say, because they're there for a reason. And they're going to be happy to get paid. Of course you will. But don't deny the reality. Don't turn your back on those who are just as qualified. Hip them to how to navigate the shark-infested racist waters on these jobs. And by all means, when you have a job, y'all, start working on something of your own. Because what you're doing for them is paying you back pennies on the dollar from what they're getting from you. Start your own companies, even if it's just you have a room in the house. When you get a fax machine, you get a computer. You get a printer. You get an LLC or doing business as. Print up your cards. Fulfill a need in your community. If that big store or that big shop, that big whatever, Office Depot and everything, and they fax stuff out and they charge you for it, you can do the same thing. I don't want nobody coming up in my house. Well, set up a separate part. Build if you have a home. You know, you might have to register to keep a little piece on you. You don't know who you're dealing with, but, you know, do your business. You understand? We got to take that leap. We can't wait for the slave master to take care of us. We got to know the tax laws and how to manipulate the tax laws like the rich do so you don't pay a damn thing. That meal you're eating, 50% of all times that you take a client out to a restaurant, your client could be your son. A consultation. It doesn't have to be a client. But we go out so much, why can't we have 50% of our meals in these expensive restaurants as write-offs, even if it's just for that, even if you made a dummy company? So much mileage on your vehicle is used for that. Lease the vehicle. You don't always have to buy it because that falls under a different type of category where you can have it part of the business and taken care of. So the taxes that you have to pay out, it's negated by these things where you don't pay nothing. They end up paying you. But you know every damn filthy lyric to every rap song that comes out. You spend your money not to get that fax machine or printer or computer to start a business, but you want to get a skirt where the slit is way up, tight around your ass. For what? You got something for sale? That ain't no business. The risks are too great. Sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancies, and just soul ties to these entities that leave you crazy, broke, and by yourself. And here you are in your 30s walking around like an old woman. Worn down and worn out. Lost and turned out. On the way to grandma's house, right? Crime. The issue. Involvement in criminal activities. See, we're not criminals. We're not born to be criminals. We're righteous in our wiring. But this world and environment has twisted us around. And when you're hungry, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? But these political criminals and governmental criminals, they do it because of greed. They want more power. They want more greed. If you in the hood and you hungry, I can understand that. You got caught walking out the door of the supermarket with a big steak shoved down in your pants. If I'm a judge and I see that you're hungry and your situation is a certain way, I want to have a program to suggest to you, and I want to find a way to get funds to you emergency-wise. Hell, is that a handout? I know it's mostly white people on Rumble watching, right? I'm going to tell you this much. Stop saying it's a damn handout. Ukraine is getting a handout. Israel is getting a handout. And we are broken in this country after our forefathers have built it for you. Trauma in our DNA. And we want something to eat. You talk about reparations? Okay, don't give reparations. Give us a stipend for food and housing. And I'm not saying give us, we earned it. Because you used our forefathers as a tool, and they have become broken and passed on a broken mentality that can't function in the system that you created to excel in. How about that? Hand out. But you ain't got nothing to say when they say, let's send all of these billions of dollars every year to Israel and all of this warships and other propaganda against the other side of Palestine. All of this stuff, brainwashing. And many of us buy it hook, line, and sinker. What the hell is wrong with you? Crazy. I just don't understand it. I don't think I ever will completely understand it. It's not something for us to understand. Unbelievable. When you really drink this down and think about, and this is just touching on different things. Community engagement. Lack of, that's the issue. Lack of community involvement. We don't have communities anymore. We have not even neighborhoods anymore. We don't have neighbors. It's just a hood. They're correct in saying that. because that's what it is. Because when you come into your community, it should be where 2 or 3 miles before you hit your house, 4 or 5 miles before you hit your house, you know everybody as you drive by or walk by. That's community. You know where they work. You know the children. You know the family. You know the issues. Oh, you heard Mama Robinson, she's not feeling too good. And, you know, we're going to get a couple of the boys in the neighborhood and go and cut her lawn. We're going to cook her food. And we all going to pitch in and see what bills that she needs because to have covered, because we know that she's living on a limited income. So now let's get together. Every time we go to the supermarket, let's all bring home something for Mama that she needs. And let's go on and check on her and make sure the shelves are packed. That's community. Neighborhood. And we run with gossip faster than we do with some news that's worthwhile. Yes, we're going to talk as we need to fill in the voids of what we need in that community. Why don't we donate? See, we tithing money to these pastors, these pimp-ass pastors. Why don't we tithe our time as electricians to fix the electrical issues in the homes of the older folks or the homes of those that we know that don't make much money and can't afford the repair? You got money, and if not, ask somebody for it. How many times have I been on this particular show, my platform, and before I ask any money for me, which I needed too, but there'll be somebody who has an issue in their life, and I say, hey, come on, y'all, let's get together and send some money to their Cash App or their PayPal or their Zelle. I had situations, if you can remember, where people were about to get thrown out of their house from foreclosure, but they were manipulated into that. And they needed a certain amount by a certain time. Lance, I'm 80 years old. In 2 weeks, if I don't get this money, they played with me and told me they'll work it out. But no, they're trying to get me out of my house. I made a beautiful house all these years, and I'm behind in the taxes, or I refinance, which we shouldn't be doing. I don't have nowhere to go. And the money that I have from Social Security is not enough. But as I was working, I paid for this place. I will be on the street. I've gotten on here like, yo, I've done some marathon ass shows. We need to get this money up. Lance, I don't have a PayPal. Lance, I don't have a Cash App. Okay, you can send it to me. Well, we don't know. Scurv might be making this up to get some money. But as I got the money, there's shows I showed it on the screen, what I got, and sent it out. So now the account was back to zero, my PayPal or my Cash App. I like to be transparent. But we need to look to where we are needed. Instead of tithing our money to a man who calls himself a man of God, how does God need money? He made the universe that's ever expanding. Like I said, and I say it sarcastically, I never saw Jesus at the supermarket $5 short. Hell, if he was walking around, he wouldn't need that. Feeding all them people with a couple of fish and a couple of loaves of bread, he could wave his hand. Feed all of us. We don't even have to eat the meal. He can wave his hand and the food is already in our stomach. Like, damn, I was feeling hungry. I feel full all of a sudden. I feel full. Racial profiling and discrimination. What's the remedy of that issue? We need to promote awareness, diversity training, and fair policing practices, advocate for equal treatment under the law. Now we know that these overseers, not all, but most of them, they ain't thinking about it. We're like fish that need to be caught. We're being hunted, put false charges on us. And yes, some of us do some stupid ass things to get locked up. So I ain't feeling sorry for you. But we have to work on your mind so you're not going to be part of that high rate of recidivism back to the county jail and eventually the prison. Right? We got to make sure that we're doing everything right. So it's not easy. It's not easy. Education to prison pipeline. What's the issue? School to prison pipelines. Isn't it a wonder? I don't know how it is everywhere else in the world, but isn't it a wonder that schools, especially in, I don't want to say black hoods. I can't say black neighborhoods anymore because we as neighbors don't treat each other right. I can't say black communities. There are some left, far and few between. Excuse me while I take a sip of this tea. Because I'll talk my mouth dry. Y'all know that. By the time I looked at some old videos from years ago, I talked so much, it looked like I was one of the minstrel men with the white lips. But isn't it something how our elementary schools are not painted in a cheerful way, but they got them gloomy colors, weird grays, weird gray with a little brownish in it. Nothing exciting. And then to change periods, to go to the next class, ding, 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 ding. And so we grab our books and run to the next class. Well, maybe that's an effective way of doing it, but how come? The visuals of the school, the low lighting in the hallways. I mean, for us, I don't know about them other communities because it seems to be a little better over there. But this is why they say school to prison pipelines, because we are trained in this way. That when we go to jail, when we go to prison, they may not have a bell, but we know at certain times, it's a certain time to do something. And then prisons are painted so gloomy. It's not painted to make you feel good because it's not a place where you should be feeling good. I understand that. But with our children, there should be vibrant colors. You know, like when you see the daycares, there should be things that you can look at visually to titillate the mind to want to know what it is all about. With our black children, have historical black characters there. Put the name under it so they keep seeing it. They need to learn a little bit about their history every day. Just the shortest month of the year, February, Black History Month. Like that's all we did. And here they come. No knock against Martin Luther King. And here they, all of a sudden you see all the Martin Luther King stuff on TV. The pre-anti-war Martin Luther King. The pre-radical Martin Luther King. They don't want to show you that part. Then they're going to keep showing us getting whipped and beat down and reinforcing that we need to be subservient, reinforcing that it's normalcy to get dogs sicked on us and beat down with billy clubs from the police, not to be revolutionary and to defend yourself as long as you carry yourself properly and righteously. Your law personally should be higher than man's law so that you're never put in a position where you have to deal with what they call law enforcement. Their law is lower, of a lower standard than what we are supposed to be. I'm going to say it. Do you see police running around in the Jewish community, beating them over the head and harassing them? No, because they're unified and they police themselves. They ain't allowing things to go on because they got their little police or they got their citizen patrols. They may work along with the police, but they're calling them in after they deal with it. And a lot of them dudes in the Jewish community who live there, they packing heat. So you better not come out and whip out on them because they're going to blast you. As a citizen, legally, in the citizen patrol. They're not there to pull out, but as a citizen, they can protect themselves. And they have the right in their community to look over things. Why don't we think like that? Them dudes who are on the corner selling drugs. Not all of us, but some of us. You're a business owner. You can set up a business. You can set up a security firm. Now, some of them guys may have records, and there's ways of getting around it, but there are others who are not. Why don't you set up some kind of way and work with the politicians to get taxpayer money in that particular community to pay for having our own young black men patrol our own neighborhoods and get paid in a way of dealing with those who are coming out of incarceration. Now, they may not be able to carry a gun, and they may not be able to have as much money paid to them as the others who have a clean record, right? But they can get something. And if there's government subsidized homes, low income, from our taxpayer money that we demand in our community, so we can have a way for them to have dignity as grown men, to live instead of going back to their elderly mother and feeling bad about it, which is nothing wrong with that either. But like I always say, black manhood is illegal in America. True black manhood, not black male big dickhood. That's encouraged. Spray up all of the women you want and just not be there. We'll lock you up for not paying child support, and they'll be there with nothing, and they'll be the strippers, and they'll be the hoochies, and we'll subsidize them with an apartment, Section 8. We'll give them a little WIC. We'll give them a little free health care. And man, it's a big mess. We're still on a damn plantation and don't even know it. The media representation, negative stereotypes in media. That's the issue. And we buy and digest it and suck it down, hook, line, and sinker. Because we feel that that's all we can be. Even some of us who already know that, we struggle with this, not even day to day, but hourly. Indoctrination. Hourly. Every minute we turn. There's a sister with her ass. First thing she want to do on TikTok is turn around her ass and start shaking it. First thing they want to do on daggone Instagram is turn around and that's in the algorithm to push it more onto you. And we talk about blasting somebody. We talk about, I got to get this money any way I need to get it. And like I talked yesterday about the two boxers and their trainers. And the one trainer was saying how the one boxer they were fighting against went to private school, so he ain't no real man. He ain't come up from the mud. And like I said yesterday, those Negroes, and let me just say it raw, those niggers who think that that is the epitome of manhood, that you have to come up from the mud and you must be a damn gunman. Get away from me. I don't even bother with you because you should know better by now. And if you did come up from the mud sincerely and made something of yourself, or you still might be there and you're aspiring to go higher, I'm going to reach out my hand and pull you up. Black man to black man, or black man to black male who's aspiring to be a man. I'm going to pull you up. Encourage positive representation in media, arts, and entertainment. Promote diverse storytelling. I do that here. But look at it between the lines. That's the remedy. Encourage positive representation in media, arts, and entertainment. Whoa! Please tell me what media, arts, and entertainment companies we own. Well, Tyler Perry got something going on. Well, Tyler Perry is in control of other people, because if he really came out with his talents and abilities on a way to revolutionize the black mind, they would shut him down. He makes nice, kind of twisted, I'm not saying twisted bad, but he creates things, but it's nothing that overall is healing us. You see, because really and truly, music, plays, movies, entertainment by these celebrities, or stars, as you want to call it, they should deal with the issues that we're dealing with and show us the way out of that situation through entertainment to reinforce something remedial in our minds. But they don't do that. They can't do that, because those who Kanye West had an issue with, y'all know who I'm talking about, in media, in arts, in entertainment, they control it. And they collectively want to put that out there. People that I know in the movie industry that has confirmed it. So I know what I'm talking about. We're talking high level. Don't think Scurv don't know people. They tell me things, and it's my job to keep them anonymous while they are in position to make a change, but they tell me what they hear in these meetings and rubbing elbows with the bigwigs that they work with, not for, but with. They tell me this stuff. I'm going to tell you who it is? No. That'll get them in trouble because they're in position to make a difference and learn all that's being done. So when they do set up their own companies, they know how to do the damn thing independently, which they already know. We have so many people who are in different areas of expertise that are afraid to come out and make a move. Yes, you stay quiet for a while. Get all that knowledge, get all that information so you can take it back and make it better for your people. This video ain't gonna get no more than 500-600 hits. We know why. Because I'm talking that real sugar honey iced tea. And there are people who want to control us who don't want me taking the time that I want to give. I want to give this because I see it in my own way. And there are other brothers like Professor Griff and others who are doing the same thing in their own way from where they stand. They don't want us donating our time to unlock a mind that's captive and enslaved. It really hurts me. If I come on and talk for an hour or talk for 2 hours, that's nothing big to do. Yes, it's talk, but I'm about putting my hands on also, which I plan on doing in so many different ways, and I'm on the way to doing. It's a gradual ascension. I think I'm a real man, but there are levels to manhood. And I am an elder. If not all the way, maybe it's not a chronological thing, but it is to a point. 10 years from now, I'll be 70 years old. So why not start on the higher levels and dedicate what I see to the world and for those who may lend an ear? Even if I'm not here anymore, they can hear this. And if it's not me, it's somebody else. I ain't trying to be famous. It's a platform that the address is Lancescurv, and we push how we do because it's me. But I don't have to be out here for any narcissistic reason, because people who know me, even in my most decadent days, which involved several girlfriends at a time, I'm not proud of that, but I learned a lot from that. But even in those days, that righteous chip of knowing how we are looked at in the world was always there. It never left. I just took a turn left and made some decisions and indulged in a few things in those times. But I've always been this way. If you know me, ask anybody who knows me. I've always been this way. I've always defended us. I've always gave us the hookup or the heads up on what's really going on. Even when I was rejected, I only spoke what I know. I couldn't talk about things I didn't know. This is why study and research is very important, or we'll look stupid to those coons who may be better informed, who want to shoot us down as agents they are of the boule. Oh, much respect and much love to you, Al-Kebulin, man. You'll be 74 in 4 months. You know what you're talking about, because I see everything that you put out in the chat room. That's right. And we all have different ways to fight. It doesn't mean that everybody has to have a YouTube channel. You can be talking to the brothers on the corner. You can be part of an organization. There's so many different ways to be effective. Like they say, you have to fight the war on all fronts. This is why you have the Air Force to drop bombs from the air. This is why you have the Marines. You have the Army on the ground. Right? You have the Navy from the water. On all fronts, what's necessary. So we all can't be in the Air Force. We all can't be in the Marines. We have to fight it on different fronts. Who's going to cook the food for those who are there? This is why you have a Mrs. Scurv who may not have any battle gear on, but she's making sure that you're getting the nutrition that you need. You have a brother Neil Frazier, Dr. Ade, who are going to give you information to school you and brief you on what must be done in this particular battle of the day in the overall war. And understand that when you lose a battle, it doesn't mean you lost the war. Does a boxer lose the fight after the first round if he didn't win that first round? No, we got 11 more rounds to go. This is a war, and you have to think about it overall. But their arts, media, and entertainment will keep your mind blinded from seeing what it is that you must do, and will always be pleasure-oriented. Immediately, you get that pleasure. I ain't gonna lie. I try to watch what I eat. When Mrs. Scurv left a box of chocolates over there on the side table, and here I am in the middle of the night doing my shows and doing my work. And that box went from being something that looked small, it looked like it was something big, and an arm picked up in it and was calling me over. I said, okay, I'll take just this one piece. She wouldn't notice it. And the one piece went from two more. The box was gone. I went upstairs in the bedroom and saw that she had those chocolates individually to the side, like, I know he's eating my chocolates, but I got to save some for myself. Temptation is always out there. And the immediate gratification of eating a healthy box of chocolate overtook me. And actually, when I went upstairs, I was supposed to come back downstairs and I fell asleep. And my work was done for that day, and it shouldn't have been. So we got to be careful of the instant gratification of this filthy entertainment, arts, and media. Housing inequality. That's the issue. What's the remedy? Address housing discrimination, promote affordable housing initiatives, and provide assistance to families in need. You black people just want everything. You're getting handouts. Tell that to Israel. Tell that to Ukraine. They got a different complexion, so it's no problem. We just, oh yes, we got to fight on our hands in America, in the UK, wherever we are near the one who exploits us. But yet we put everybody's needs above us. Ain't that something? We put it above ours. And we'll give our lives for the causes of everybody else. When it comes time to us, we're sitting there and we feel as though we're doing something wrong because we don't have the validation of the one who will quickly use us for their causes, but never back us on ours. So let me hear one of them talk about a handout. A little low income, affordable housing, but you sending tanks and warships and planes and aid and doing it every year without even asking. They ain't asking, but they taking. But we living under the overpasses. We living in the alleyways. And the very ones who you sent over to the various wars to help other people, they're destitute in America. They get a little money to survive. And when you go to the VA as a person who served, so-called serves your country, which you'd realize by now this ain't your country, they give you a hard time for that, to get medication, to get treatment for ailments that most of the time were things that you gained when you went into the military and went into combat, and they spraying all these weird chemicals, and now you come back with these nervous disorders, you come back with these psychological disorders, and there's nothing wrong with you and your intent, but they did that to you because of where you went. Take care of it. They make sure to enforce child support. And most of us are foolish when we're just looking to get pleasure from the woman and not any commitment or responsibility. But they encourage us to use our penises against our own will. When you go into their law enforcement, they damn sure will teach you how to use a gun. But as a man or a male aspiring to be a man, who's going to teach us the responsibility of utilizing our penis? It's a very powerful thing, and the system is set up to go against us when we don't take care of our children. But they don't encourage us to be that. They encourage us to be mindless males, following behind our dicks. Every vagina, every backside that is nice and bulbous, I love that. It's a beautiful thing. I'm a man. I have sprinklings of male in me that I keep in check because I'm a man. But what you want me to like? They encourage us as black males, those who are black males, I'm a black man, to get into the artificial rainbow And they're okay with that because you'll get support from the government more so as a homosexual male than you would as a black, heterosexual, straight, family-oriented man. And they want to strike down my videos and say, oh, it's harmful content. It's harmful to the hold that you have over our minds. If you take me down off of this, I'll go write some books and articles, and I'm already on other platforms. There comes a time in the fight. You may be fighting somebody who beat you down before. It's okay, but never let it beat down your spirit. So even if you still have the wounds, the busted eye, the busted nose, the busted lip, and you got to fight your enemy 2 weeks from now, and you still got the scars, your spirit should be intact. And you ball up your fist and you push that foot down into the ground as leverage, because all power when you're fighting is coming up out the ground. And you squat down a little bit and get the power from your hips. And here come the opponent. And it's not just about power. You got to use expertise. You have to be a fighting machine. You have to know your enemy. And even though you have the scars from the previous battle, you're there each and every time. Even if you get beat down that time, you're going to keep on fighting that enemy until you get that win. You cannot let them take the determination in your heart away. There's so many broken black men who have fought righteously for us. It's a hard fight. What I do is nothing in comparison to what many have gone through to lose their lives. I'm sitting here at home comfortable with electronic equipment around me. I can't say I'm some real revolutionary. I'm talking it. I'm just sharing what I know, but I'm not going to sit here and pump myself up and lie to myself. Be some pseudo revolutionary. No, I am not that. In my heart, I would like to be more so that. But this little bit of convenient, click a button and audio equipment and just talk. Look, I could be no more than a rapper. A righteous rapper. Because I didn't plan any of this. I jotted down some notes and looked at a few articles and I said, okay, and we're going to freestyle this. That's how I do. That's my ability. That's my talent. In the way that I'm made. Right? But we have to understand we're not trying to look for a title of being this or being that. We have to be real about it. And we have to be ready to catch that bullet on all levels for each other. We have to be wise and preserve ourselves here. It shouldn't be where we're trying to get an actual bullet. But when you know certain attacks are levied against you, you know you're doing something right. Like I said before, effective aggression. Not just mere aggression, but effective aggression. There's sometimes you're going to have to let that round go by in the fight to recuperate from the beating that you took in the prior rounds, to be strong for the rest of the fight, to think, to figure out the attacks given to you by your opponent, to say, okay, I see an opening here. Every time he throws the left jab, he doesn't pull his hand back to his jaw to protect his jaw. So the next time he hits me with the left jab, I'm not going to wait for it to pull back. When he pulls his hand back low, as soon as he tries to hit me with the left jab, I'm coming with an overhand right. He pulls his hand back down low, he's going to see a blow come from me. But I'm not going to depend on one because I might miss it. So here I come with a right cross and the left hook. And even after to the left hook, I'm going to move my head because he's going to try to hit me, and I'll come with another blow to the solar plexus. Right cross after the jab. Left hook after the right cross. And a blow to his solar plexus, and I'm going to pivot to the side. He thinks I'm going to stand still. I'm going to be on the side of him and come with a right uppercut where my head is near his shoulder, where he can't hit me because he got to reset his feet. Study the enemy and know how to execute your aggressions effectively in rapid fire movements because you mentally rehearsed it. But we ain't mentally rehearsing anything because we got to see them booties on Instagram. We got to see them asses shaking on TikTok. Damn, man, I need some tonight. Why you need some? If you was in a committed relationship and did right by your wife and your babies, it'll be right there waiting for you. It ain't nothing better than a real woman, a complete woman who you're committed to, who you go out and work and bring all the money back home for that family. And she can see that you're committed. She makes sure you're going to have nourishment just the same way you could too. She could be sick as a homemaker. You cook a meal for her. You rub her feet. You talk the encouraging things to her. She'll create heaven on earth for you at that home. And when you come home, do you think you'll have to have the mindset of that clown in the street who says he need to get him some and never earned it? She sees that you earned it. And when it comes time to close that door, she gonna make sure to righteously wax you off with everything she's got because you earned it. And when she is on her knees in the bed in front of you, her back is arched even more so. You want to give it up to you that good because that's comfort. It's not just about sex. When it comes time for that, she's going to put it on you, brother. You're going to prepay your speeding tickets to the police. Say, listen, I'll be speeding for the next 5 days, so I'm going to pay for 5 days worth of speeding tickets because I got to get home to that woman that loves me so much and gives me heaven on earth. Just the way you have secured her and given her peace of mind and heaven on earth. I'm sorry I got to sometimes talk in basic languages, but there's some of us who don't know this have to hear it this way. Damn. I'm going to say it in a symbolic way. Why I got to go there like that? You ain't got to come with no slick lines to a woman. The woman is made to be there for you the way you're supposed to be there for her. And you talk about you a man. If you a real man doing what real men do to that woman that you have, you wouldn't have to worry about getting coochie because you know it's more than coochie. When you're with an outstanding woman on a mental, spiritual, and physical and emotional level who's committed to the children in that home, that base, that power base that undergirds you as a man, you ain't got to worry about a damn thing because you're fulfilling your role as a man. Males don't get that. Mere males don't get that because they don't want to earn it, because they want the dessert and they want to sample the dessert before the commitment of the meal. And after they sample the dessert, that's all they really wanted in the first place. So that's why they're gone. So why? Some of our sisters give up the dessert and plan on giving up the dessert better than the other ones, thinking you can catch a man, but it's about keeping a man. And really and truly, you ain't catching no man because a real man doesn't need that titillation to stay. If he sees that he gets it too fast, he ain't going to stay. If you offer it to him that way, because anything worth getting is worth waiting for. Anything worth getting, you need to pull back the layers slowly but surely. Even on a sexual level, what happened to seduction? What happened to titillating the mind? What happened to taking the scenic route? We don't have to take the express route and take a jet to go right to the actual thing. And on a sexual level, I'll say this and I'll move on. This is not about sex. But why are we so, I'm going to say it the street way, so concerned about busting nuts? I need to bust me a nut. So it don't matter who you rub up on then, does it? And that's all you're getting. Some of us, and I'll say it this way, some of us don't even deserve sex. Some of us don't even know, don't even need to know what an orgasm feels like because we didn't earn it. And those lower vibrational people who indulge in their low vibrational intercourse, like dogs, what you got and what you feel ain't as good as what a real man and a real woman feel who are committed to each other, because there's spiritual aspects to it. There are emotional aspects to it. There's a mental aspect to it. It's beyond the physical. The physical is the portal. You make the connection that way. But it goes into other things beyond that. So this is why you're indulging in this righteously. You're feeling all kinds of things. You're realizing new levels. This is not just a animalistic humping contest. And that's it. No. Because when you truly make love with your mate, that happens to be the physical connection, but it continues on throughout your day. Even if you're not if you're apart, you're at the job feeling good. Not just your loins, but in your heart, in your mind. Because you're building something. It makes your children stronger. It's a spiritual pass down. If you ain't right while you're making love, well, if you're lusty, you ain't just making love, and there's a lust aspect to making love. You can enjoy the curvature of your woman's shape. She's feminine. She ain't no man in drag or trying to chop off his stuff and get estrogen titties and fake this, and you humping on a man. That ain't no woman. So you can't have the same feeling as when you're with a real woman. And if you go after a hoochie who has a devastating body, or one of these thoughts, or one of these strippers, you can only go as far as lust, and that will leave you empty after the act is executed. Where are the men to tell the people this? The young males. Exactly, Alkebula man. You can jack off and get a nut. Richard Pryor once said, "I never knew a pussy was as good as my hand." That's safe sex. You know, I don't say these words to be disgusting, but we got to talk for real. We're in a place where we're trying to be so politically correct that we don't say things. We need to talk to these young males out here raw. I think I'm going to do that on Patreon. And Patreon is only a means of supporting the channel, because I do this every day, and I'm not always going to be able to do like things on every single platform. Well, he ain't putting nothing up, so I'm giving it. I ain't going to. It's just supporting the channel where things come out regularly. It could be $1. We need to have sessions where we speak to these young men. I have a conference line. Why can't we get some young men together and get some of the men in the community to speak to these males and let them call in for wherever they are in the whole country? I'll set it up. I got the capabilities. This is why I'll ask for support, because of the platform, not so I can get rims on a car that I don't even have. I ain't gonna give him nothing because he wouldn't build that house. He got some money. Well, if you have equity, you do that, and it ain't gonna last forever. But what do I put my time into? But that pimp pastor who just wants your money to keep his women in the condo or another house, or hush-hush money from the little boys he's been messing with, you'll give it to him. And I'll allow others who are here to come on and add their piece if you want to. Hell, I'm getting ready to sign off soon, but it's not just about me, right? There you go. Look, click that link if you want to say something, even if it's just 2 minutes. Brother Scurv getting hungry, and it's 6 minutes to noon in West Africa. So, I started over 2 hours and 24 minutes. I've been talking. Time flies when you're having fun. Ain't that the truth? I'm having fun because I'm doing what I'm created to do. And like I said, many years ago, I thought my life was just fragmented. An odd job here, an odd job there, a relationship going nowhere here, a marriage that was one-sided in the past or whatever. And I thought my life was a bunch of filthy rags that didn't connect. I wasn't the guy who went to high school, graduated, went to college and got my degree. And I met a young lady, and then we got married and got this house with the white picket fence. No. And for most of us, if you think it's going to go that way, hey, for some, they've done right. I applaud them. And they're to be admired and as a goal. But it ain't going to go like that for all of us. If you want to come on in, you could say something. Really quick. I still didn't get through all my points, and I will, but if I hear that little quick, I'll let you in and say something. Drug policies, disproportionate drug-related arrests, reform drug policies, decriminalize nonviolent offenses, and focus on rehabilitation instead of punishment. Crack cocaine in the early 80s. They were handing out huge sentences for possession. If you were selling, it was even worse. Putting people away for decades. While on the other affluent side of town, the substance from which crack cocaine comes from, they got a smack on the wrist because they usually didn't look like us. That's racist. That's racism. You niggers are always talking about racism. What you're always saying this word. What do you mean by that? These people are always so funny. Look at the bottom of the screen, y'all. Racism is the process by which systems and policies, actions and attitudes create inequitable opportunities and outcomes for people based on race. And the source is from the Oxford Languages and Google. Read that. I'm going to let it flow again. I'm not even going to say nothing. Just going to say, let's have a moment of silence and read what's scrolling down on the bottom of the screen if you can see it. Read it. Internalize it. Taste it. It's the truth. So we need to have our ducks in a row to understand when people say these things to us and try to mentally beat us down like we don't know what we're talking about and what we're experiencing is not real. You have the right to express your experiences in life without curtailing it and nipping and tucking it for someone who doesn't want you to tell the truth, because their illusion of reality, you don't have to bend your experience for. So if they don't like you for stating facts that this happened on this day for me, if it makes them uncomfortable, tough titty, but you got to suck it. That's what it is. No more, because you'll die of emotional constipation because you couldn't express yourself. And I am not, whatever takes me out, it ain't going to be because of emotional constipation. But you better be prepared to walk alone when you speak the truth. Not what you think is the truth, but what you actually experienced in this life. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm not going to tailor it down because you feel uncomfortable about it. Hence, being shadow banned, hence being struck and channels taken down and all of this stuff. I don't care. I don't care. I'm 60 years old, beginning the old man phase. I don't feel like an old man. I'm just saying it as far as a joke is concerned. So I'm not going to sit here and hold back anything because I done got through it. I done got through 57 and a half years in America, spelled with 3 Ks, like a prison sentence. Like them old guys who came out of prison. Man, I did 45 years in the pen, man. You can't tell me nothing. Well, I did 57 and a half years in that prison called America as a young man who was bright and promising, but the system, their bots, their agents, their coons, their boule will come after you when they see you have the talents and abilities. They don't want you to rise when you don't have their mindset. And this is why we've got to protect our young black males and young black men. The males, we need to bring them into manhood. And the men, we need to continue reinforcing the attributes that they need to have in this shark-infested world. That's our job, to pass on that information and give examples and speak to them in a real raw way. We got the world pushing the rainbow on our young males and men, but we can't talk about having men. Well, where are the women going to go? They're either going to go to each other or go to somebody else. That's why you have a push in the media to have a black man with somebody else other than this woman, and to have a black woman with somebody else, because that's set up as a menu. And so we're coming at each other. I don't need no black man. I don't need no black woman. Then we don't need no black community, and we're done. Like I said, community has been removed. Neighborhood. Neighbors have been removed now. That's just some people living next door. So all we're left of the neighborhood is hood. So it's correct. Even if you're community-minded, but you're standoffish from those around you. And let me tell you, you should be if they reject all righteous communication and respect. Now's the time to cut your losses and cut out the dead meat and the dead weight of your life. But you got to wait 200 years to be around people who are righteous in their movement? And you catch them in certain activity against you and your character? Get rid of them. Don't ever deal with them. Step over them. Because you got something to do for the people who need it and want it. Geographical proximity doesn't mean that you're in my corner, watching and peeping at me, probably jealous because my situation is different. Or just suffer because we have to shine for the ones who need it. Got no time to be dealing with these low vibrational Negroes who are haters and proven haters, but now they want to come back around you because they see what you're really all about. But threw you under the bus when they thought you wasn't shit. The hell with you. Use your righteous energies for the ones who need it. Like I said, in a boxing match, you can throw a million punches, but it's the ones that land that count. Effective aggression. If it can't be something effective, then don't look to execute it at all. Mentorship. Lack of positive role models. Create mentorship programs connecting young African men with successful adults who can guide and inspire them. That's our problem. We only think about our kids, our children, our this, right? Why can't we be an influence on so many people? I don't care if this video gets negative 200 hits. This is going to happen. I'm not a hitmonger. If we collectively can change the life of 3 people or 1 person or influence them, we did our job. So let everybody do the same thing and have the same mindset, but they don't. They're more worried about getting more money. For what? To go bring it to the enemy and put yourself more in debt. Why can't you go without driving a car for a year or 2 and taking public transportation and saving that money up for something bigger? Collectively, why can't we have that type of commitment? Let's say if 10 of us put that money aside, we can buy maybe a downtrodden property and put it back together again with our collective talents. And we're looking for plumbers, we're looking for electricians, we're looking for people who do building, and we're looking for them to donate their time. And we can create something from nothing. To have a community center for the children. You have educators that have free time. Go down and tithe your time to the people who need you. Teach these different areas of expertise, plumbing, electrical, so that they can have a talent and ability to run their homes better without spending the money to pay somebody who doesn't look like you to come into your community and make a killing off of your ignorance. Why do we have so many Chinese food neighborhoods, Chinese food restaurants in our neighborhoods? Yeah, it's nice to not have to cook sometime, but why is it nice to not have to cook and take somebody else's poison in our system? When you make that order of heifer fried chicken and pork fried rice with all that extra soy sauce and duck sauce, and you look in the back, they eating something that don't look like what you ordered. But we blowing up all these big dark patches between our legs and on the side of our face looking like skid marks, consuming this crap, fried up crack. Oh yeah, crack, right? It's like crack. My Freudian slips are intelligent too. That's an advantage. And you keeping them in business. When you walk through their neighborhoods, they don't want to see you, but they can set up business in your neighborhood. Well, if you like that food so much, eat a healthy alternative, cook it at home, or support somebody who opens a restaurant that will make it taste better in a healthy way. But we only think about what's presented to us. And that's the problem with us. And it's black women too, who are low vibrational, but I'm focusing on black manhood. If you claim to be a man, you must do things that men do. If you're not, then you're not that. You're just a male in drag acting like a man. Like a male in drag acting like a woman. And so many of our perverse brothers are driving around in the red light district lusting after men in dresses. No fly or no insect or no bumblebee lands on a fake flower because it knows it's not going to get no pollen out of the fake flower. Better back in the day that you drive around a whole stroll, that's what they used to call it, where the prostitutes are, and go pick up a real woman. It might be low vibrational, but it's still a woman. Look where we've come, where so many celebrities are busted. Come on, y'all. I'm not defaming anybody, but long before Eddie Murphy was famous, we all knew, those of us who grew up in New York, that he loved to go and pick up men in drag. We knew this. We know a lot about the people who grew up around us. I'm not putting him down. I love the brother. I love his comedy. He's one of the best. We love boxing. So many people love Oscar De La Hoya, who I have on my video and met, and he did a little intro for me. You're listening to the Lancescurv show. This is Oscar De La Hoya. But it doesn't stop the fact that he loves to go up in a hotel room with 2 and 3 women, not to indulge with them and enjoy their physical offerings, but to sit there and bring plastic phallic symbols, right? And bend over while he has fishnets and high heels with makeup on. The great Oscar De La Hoya. When I met him in 2012 before the fight that, oh God, the name is, Miguel Cotto. I met Miguel Cotto that day also. One of the great fighters of our time. Right before he fought Floyd Mayweather and was in training, and they had a media day. You dig deep enough on these pages and you'll see. You know? De La Hoya was there, they were there, and I stood off to the side and I said to myself, look at this guy. He's got millions of dollars. He's a millionaire and a star, but he has things under the hood of his mental vehicle that need to be dealt with. And on so many levels, he's such a strong individual to do what he did in the sport of boxing. But on the other hand, he is a weak individual, not because of his perverse preferences, which I don't know nothing about and I'm not interested in, but because there's certain aspects of his life where he's shown weakness, where you think that he was strong. And so with many, on the wrap up, with our black men, or more so males, we make up for the deficiencies that we know that we have secretly by acting more alpha, acting more tough, acting as though we are the strongest individual in the land and you need to fear me because I am all that. But behind the gorilla suit lies a scared and hurt and traumatized little boy. And we learn to make up, or we think we're making up for the deficiencies by constructing a persona and a personality and an outward appearance of being so strong. But it's only an exoskeleton, which is a skeleton that is on the outside of the body, made to protect us because of the voids that we know we still carry. And I can test those voids and see what it is. From many years ago when my mother went back to college because she graduated from the Juilliard School of Music in the early 50s. But she went back to school, and while she was studying, and you know, they always give you these psychology courses along with the things that you're taking it for, because she now wanted to teach. I remember back in 1974 and 75, when she was going, that I was always fascinated by reading the psychology books that she had to read that was part of the curriculum. And I learned so much, and we know that a lot of these things may not be applicable in the same exact way to us, where there's an overlap of 85% truth on us, but then we have a 15% reality that doesn't cover. This is why engineered, customized mental health protocol is very important for us as American Africans and Black people overall from what we've had to endure in the past and still have to endure in the present. The bottom line, I'm going to say it this way. We screwed up. We didn't screw up, but we are screwed up. That's not a put down. That's an assessment. Some more than others. But there's no way that we can navigate through this world that is really an obstacle course on so many levels and be successful, not just monetarily, because they will allow some of us to gain the monetary so they can say, what's wrong with you? Tyler Perry made it. T.D. Jakes made it. Oprah Winfrey made it. Beyonce and Jay-Z made it. But they're handpicked really because of their involvement in things that we know nothing of. And they're there to compromise us and to haunt us and to lure us into going after something that many of us will never attain. And I'm not saying that to discourage you, but fame in the enemy system should not be your primary goal. Because just like that sticker I used to see on this one particular van of this bachelor, he was a single man, right? And he had a sticker on the back, and maybe our Alkebulan man, you might remember this type of sticker in America. And they said, if you want to ride in my van, you better give me some gas, some grass, or some ass. So you give it up, some gas money, you giving up some weed, or you're giving up that beautiful bulbosity of a backside that the Lord has blessed you with. Either one, you're giving it up. So if you want to excel in their system, it's not just talent alone. Look at how we have so many church sisters in damn near every church across America. It doesn't have to be a mega church. It could be a little broke down storefront church where they're hardly getting any tithes. Everything, go to the toilet not working right. You got a bucket of water to pour it in because when it flush, it don't work. God forbid if you got to go there and doodle during a church service, you stinking out the whole place. But there's always a girl there, a young lady, a woman who can sing her behind off. We got not only just thousands, but hundreds of thousands, if not millions of talented Black people. I'm picking that area to use it as an example. How come it's only Beyonce over the last 20 plus years that is on the top in their world? She got some kind of ability and sticking to it, but she's not really all that. She's not really all that. The engineered arranged marriages of a Jay-Z and a Beyonce, the power couple of the entertainment industry. You think they just laying with each other? You saw the clip when Beyonce was supposed to be pregnant and she was being interviewed sitting down and she got up and the whole belly shifted. I bet you can't find that clip so easy. You can't see through the falsehoods and the engineered imagery that they use to influence us. And we have so many young ladies who are in the church, which for the most part, that may not be doing much for them anyway to be there, because how can you go to ascend on a spiritual level in a place that only deals with a religion? But I know it's a cultural place. But I have to say this. Church was a better place when we were enslaved. Oh, Scurv, you done said it now. No, really look at it. Because it wasn't just about jumping around and trying to gossip at the end and trying to figure out who's sleeping with who and all of this stuff. Church was the place. I mean, aside from the religious covering, that was a place of life and death. This is why in slavery, on a Sunday, we didn't want to leave church, because that was a day where the slave master let up off of us just a little bit, but they still had to have that slave master in the church to make sure we weren't talking revolutionary. Let me take a sip of this drink. Give me 10 seconds. Ain't nothing wrong with hydration. Make sure to drink your water, folks. Most of us are walking around dehydrated, and it's like driving a car that's low on oil. The engine is grinding. Our kidneys are grinding. Make sure to always, when you're at home, have that big gallon and sip from it and try to drink the whole thing before the day's over. You'll be peeing a lot, but you'll get used to it. But that place called church, back in the day in slavery, and I've said it before, and I will repeat certain things to drive it home for the people who are passing through that don't know this platform. But could you imagine that even we had to get permission from the slave master who was in the church, sitting up higher than everybody else, to go to the restroom, to go and come? That when we got up in the middle of the church service, we have a practice that we do today that we don't even know the origins of it. And what is that? We got to get up to go pee or do a number two, or go outside to talk to somebody who got there late, or who, you know, we got to take care of some business. So as we get up from the seat, we point our finger up. We put our hand up and we put our finger up, pointing to the sky. That was to get the approval and let that slave master know, I'm acknowledging you, and if you need to tell me to sit down, I will. But we do that as a gesture of respect, because now there's no slave master like it was before, although they're still there. Or the slave mastermind of that pastor who's boule connected, talking a good word, but ain't going to do a damn thing for you. Taking your tithes when you low on money for something serious. He'll tell you to pray to Jesus. Well, Negro, you want them tithes? Go pray to Jesus. Y'all get played. But that's where that came from. Pointing the finger up and walking. All submissive. Don't do that anymore. That's where that came from. How many people know that? And read the chat room. Al-Kebla, the man, is putting it down. Enslavement in the church. Church, yeah. Not church, but church. That is so sick. So there's so many things and so many rope-like cobwebs that we need to get over. We need to destroy these things that trip us up in the modern day, and we're practicing things that are detrimental to our advancement. Number one, after saying all of this, the things that I spoke on, we know about. I'm not putting anybody down, but I have to tell you where you are. Imagine the doctor. And most doctors don't know what they're talking about. You go in there 450 pounds at 5'2", and you have all these issues with your body. It's evident it's because of obesity. You're 450 pounds and 5'2". But does the doctor tell you or not tell you what the condition is? Because he doesn't want to hurt your feelings. Well, I don't want to hurt his feelings and say that basically he's a fat man and it's killing him, so I won't say that. But don't come to this platform and think that I'm like that doctor. I'm going to sit here and be nice because I don't want to insult you. We've got to change the trajectory in the direction that we're going on. If we have made bad decisions and bad choices in our life, you know what? We need to own up to it and not let the subsequent generations coming from behind, coming up, make the same choices. Let them know we can teach, not just because we learned something from a book. We can teach from our experiences better than any book and some white man's school can teach our children. And in the battle, you see a college-educated person. Come on in, Kwame, but it says device not connected. There's something you have to hit to come in all the way. So there's something you have to hit, my brother, on that phone. Okay, there you go.
How you doing, my brother?
Yes, you got to cut down your device.
I've turned it on, Kojo. My device is working well.
Okay, talk to us, brother.
Talk to us, brother. All right, yeah, sure. How you doing, Kojo?
Hold on, brother. We got an echo there. You got to have the volume down on your side.
Oh, okay. All right. Can you hear me?
We can't.
Yeah, I
Do
can
it
hear you,
again, 'cause I'm
Kojo. Yeah.
Okay,
Everything you said, Kojo, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because us men, we have to learn to respect ourselves. Because this system that we're in doesn't respect us. You and I know that. We do some foolishness, most of our men. Yeah, and that's why we're always looked down upon. Yeah. All the time we keep on, look like the stupid, what's his name, RuPaul. Come on, you're a man. Since when did you become a woman? Since when did you become a woman? You were born a man and you die as a man.
You're right. Talk to us, man.
Because listen, man, and also another thing as well, Kojo, everything you said, I love you as my brother. Yeah, you are right to be unapologetic. I love brothers and sisters that are unapologetic, speak their mind without fear or favor. Yeah, because the system that we're living in, my brother, is toxic, evil, and has no respect for African people. Yeah, look at where they mistreat our African men. Look at where they mistreat our African boys in the schools, in the educational system, Kojo, where they isolate our boys, whether they exclude our boys, and always, if our boys want to be engineers or architects, they stigmatize them, saying that, oh, the only thing they can do is support music. That's not true. It's utter bullshit. It's utter bullshit. Our boys are gifted. It's just you who've got a problem with them. It's you who've got a problem with them. Even
That's right.
I don't know if you've heard his name, brother, before I go. He's a child psychiatrist. His name is John Kunjufu. He wrote a book saying how this system destroys our young boys.
That's the job of the system.
Because you and I, we've been discussing social movement for many years, Kojo. Yeah, we've discussed about Baba Malcolm X. Baba Malcolm X, very gifted at it. He said he was a lawyer. So, oh, Malcolm, it's unrealistic for you to be a lawyer because you're a nigger, and a nigger can never be a lawyer. Why didn't you be a carpenter? Since when did you decide what he should become and what he shouldn't be?
You're right. Absolutely.
My brother, I know you're tired and you're hungry. My love to you and Lily, yeah? You take care of yourself and don't work too hard. Take care. One love, brother. Thanks.
Thank you so much. When you love what you do, it's not a problem at all. Let me drop this link again. My phone is under wraps right now. It said that it had moisture in the charging port. So I did everything that I could, and I just did what I know to do, is to put it in a big Ziploc bag full of rice so it can dry it out. I'm saying this because if you had a problem coming in this way, I would have you call in through WhatsApp or hit the link that way. But my phone is not available. I'm talking to everybody through WhatsApp. And if you call me directly and I don't pick up, not through WhatsApp, and I don't pick up because my phone is off right now, dehydrating until it can come back on later on. It better come back on. Yes. You see that? Alkebula, man, it's nothing I'm doing, but it's you know what it is. Oh, they said that? They said you violated community. What? They clocking not only the show, but they clocking the daggone program in the comment section. That's why they reduced the numbers and try to discourage somebody. I know, like I said, there were two people who I know that told me, they don't know each other, but they told me, Lance, I clicked on your video, man. And I looked down and it said you had 850-something thousand subscribers, almost 1 million. And then it blanked out and came back and said the 117 that's there. And the other person told me the same thing a couple hours later. So, they play with numbers. Who knows where it is? And I don't care what the number they say is or whatever it is, let's reach the people directly. Because there ain't no way you're going to be on this bad boy almost a quarter of a century online, 22 and a half years, 22 and 3/4 years, and you hard to get. Right? But this isn't the only way. This is where we connect. We'll go somewhere else in the form of a book, in the form of a blog post or a writing or an illustration. I'm going to say it. And I'm not saying it in a cocky way. I'm not going to be reduced because someone else feels inferior or they feel that I should not say. I'm going to wrap it down on this. If there's no one else who wants to come on in, I'll drop the link one more time. I'll do this toward the end of every show. And I did not even know I'd be on this long, and do know that Dr. Ade is going to be coming on later on. I believe 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. for me. Okay, so she's coming back tonight. I didn't make the link yet, but it will be in the community section and on the YouTube page and on Lancescurv.com. I'm committed to being consistent, even though I still have construction going on and changes positively going on. But in a little while, I'm going to go out on one of them balconies and eat and relax. But I'm not going to sit here and lowball myself with the talents that my creator has given me. Back in the 60s, when we were being beat down in the civil rights movement, we had a young, handsome, athletic, witty, intelligent man named Muhammad Ali burst onto the scene in the sport of boxing, which that was his platform, and he was made perfectly for that time. And he told everybody, I'm pretty. I'm the greatest. I'm the best that there ever was. Now, his idol, Sugar Ray Robinson, arguably can be said to be that over Muhammad Ali. So this is why we say as a fighter, as a heavyweight fighter, nobody could touch him. But he fashioned so much of his style after Sugar Ray Robinson. But we know what Muhammad Ali was doing at that time. He knew that we needed that boost, that we needed a hero. Not some subservient boule pastor who just gonna say, turn the other cheek. He was defiant to the system. He had the eyes of the world on him. He walked side by side with Malcolm X before he came out as Muhammad Ali for a very long time. They threatened to stop the championship shot that he was getting because they didn't want to bill him as Muhammad Ali. They wanted him to use Cassius Clay. So he said, okay, we'll do that for now. That's why the first thing out of his mouth was, I am Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest. I'm pretty. I'm a black man. I ain't no Negro. I ain't no colored something. And we needed to see that. And so many of us who are a bit timid to speak out on what we knew to be the truth about us, we saw it in public, in front of us, in what the white media deemed as controversial, anti-establishment, but we needed to see that. We ain't gonna get the next generations coming behind us to stand up more if we can't address the things as they are. We can't, and we won't. We'll be just wasting our time. Play along with the system, and you get your little job from the government, and you will work that job, and you ain't gonna have no problems. You know, you don't challenge the police. You don't say nothing out here because your people's got social media now. You can't take that stuff down, baby. Modern day coons. Some of us have to sacrifice and not have those things. Some of us have to depend on the support of the people to speak what they may not be able to speak, because if they spoke it, they'll lose their livelihood. I understand that. It's going to get rough out here. It's going to get rough out here big time. I love you too, Gina. I love you too, Yvonne, our Kebulin man. Brother Kwame, and all those who have come. I've been speaking for a long time, and this has been a long chat room, so I can't get every single name. But I show my love through action. I show my love through action. I'll be writing later on, and we're going to do the show with Sister Ade, and we're going to support her. She did 45 years worth of official work and more than that. And she's told you what it was. That she is 84 years old. So when I was born, she was already 24 years old and on it as an educator. So who am I to not support her? I mean, she's the split image of so many family members and friends of my mother growing up dignified, educated, but not indoctrinated. And this is why where I draw my strength from. Because now that I'm becoming fully activated, not all the way, I still got a way to go. It's effortless for me to sit here and wake up out of a deep sleep, come down to our computer, set up a show, make a banner, pick a title, and shoot from the hip. And y'all are still here because of my experiences and what was put into me. So I ask my Creator to always use me as a righteous tool, even when I speak different languages, meaning that when I have to reach the low vibrational brothers, I don't just bust out like that. But if I have to tell a joke that catches their eye and then bust them over the head with some truth, I got them. And that's what I used to do when I worked with the incarcerated. That's why many will pass through here. I won't blow them up. They know who they are. But I'm glad I had a chance to cross paths with you. I had a dream last night, and I'm going to wrap this up, about the brother who was on crack that used to ride my bus. And before that, when I worked in the Orange County Department of Corrections, he was a frequent visitor there because he was on crack and did little things to get locked up. And for years, I got to know him. And I always told him when he was incarcerated, I said, man, there's something different about you. There's something good about you. He's on my social media, but I'm not going to tell you who he is. Because I told him, brother, I'm waiting for that story to come. I'm waiting for that phone call where you call me and say, Lance, I'm ready to tell my story. And I've been telling it all these years, but he can tell it better. And one night, I was coming home from working as a bus operator, and oftentimes he would ride with me and talk with me when he was free. Because before, when I worked as a CO, I knew him from inside. But the times that he was free, he was out. He was still smoking. Very intelligent brother, but he'd been locked up from the time that he was in his mid-teens as a juvenile up until over 50 years old. Never had a job, hardly went to school, but he was intelligent. He was born with this way of thinking. You couldn't fool this brother, but his intelligence was used in an improper way because his mind was caught up in crack. You see that? You're right. She looks better than some of these skeezers who are half her age. Talk about Dr. Aday. That's right. Very attractive woman. It's not like, oh, you look good for your age, you're an old lady. No. When she first reached out to me, I said, who is this woman? She looked good. I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying we as men still know, like, wow, you look good. You're not thinking of stepping out on your woman or nothing like that, but we know, and sisters, you know when you see a good-looking man, like, damn, he's a good-looking man. Let it stop right here. You know what I mean? But he would ride the bus with me, and we would talk, and I would encourage him. One day, as he always did, he would ride for hours with me. And I'm driving the bus paying attention to the road. And I noticed that he stopped talking for a while. So I kind of glanced up the corner of my eye and I saw the tears streaming down his eyes. And he said, Lance, man, you never gave up on me. You always talk with me. I'm telling you right now, I'm sick of this, man. I can't live like this no more. I can't live like this no more, man. And I said, I understand the tears and I'm glad the tears are coming because that's an indication of the change that's going on inside of you. He said, man, but you talk with me all these years, man, from when I was getting locked up, and I've been doing things I can get locked up again, but I've been, beating the system. But man, I want to thank you, man, but I ain't doing this no more. I said, any way I can encourage you, I will. And one night, I got off of work and I found him. He wasn't high. He was just walking down the streets that he knew very well as a person who was addicted to crack. And I knew the areas that he was in. He lived with his mother, but his mother wouldn't let him in the house. She let him sleep in the garage outside. She says, as long as you're on that stuff, you're not coming in here. I understand that. And so after work, I found him. I said, come on, man. You ain't dirty now, are you? He said, man, I told you I was. I said, man, I have to ask. Come on, let's get something to eat. So we went down to the fish joint. I was dipping and dabbing in different foods at that time. Got some fried fish, French fries. I said, man, get as much as you want. We're going to eat tonight. And in actuality, this was about maybe 2:30 in the morning because I would always drive late. So I got off late. Right? So as we sat there, he told me his plan, that he's going to look for work, although he has never worked before in the traditional sense. And he has the longest record that you ever want to see. A long, scrolled out record. If you can roll out toilet paper all the way till it gets to the little cardboard piece, his record was longer than that. Now, he would joke and say the exact thing. That's why I'm saying it. See? So he told me he was going to look for work just doing labor. And I would see him try to get work and he'll always get rejected. I continued to encourage him. And so he had this bicycle that had no tires on it. Well, the front tire didn't have a tire, but the back tire had a tire, but it wasn't inflated all the way. It kept losing air. So he found out about this job in the next county over. And he rode one of the buses that went all the way over to that county, and he had to ride on that bike. And it was nothing but wilderness in that area in Brevard County. Right? In the area where Mr. Political lives, in the Cocoa Beach area in Brevard County. Ain't nothing out in them areas going out there. Before you reach Brevard, you better not be walking out there. You don't know what will run across the road to try to get you. Mosquitoes? Shoot. Coming out at night. The mosquitoes come out at night. The mosquitoes come out at night. Chew you up like an all-you-can-eat dinner restaurant. So he rode that bike out there. And I saw him 2 days later. And he told me he got the job. Well, that was a Tuesday night, and I saw him on a Friday. They hired him immediately. He was up front with them. But what he was doing there at that particular company was some menial work. And they locked up really heavy. There's no way he's going to get in there and steal the equipment that they had. I mean, that's what they were thinking, I know. And they weren't paying him much because of his downtrodden resume and criminal record and drug usage. Not putting him down, that's just what it was. Remember, he never worked a job. He started getting locked up from 14. He's over 50 now. He was determined. He said they allowed him to sleep outside in the back of the warehouse. So the little money he had to look for a job, he had to go into town, into Cocoa Beach area, and find some clothes that covered him. Because he ain't going to sleep out in the back with a short sleeve shirt. So he found some type of head covering to cover his face, like some type of mask that you use when you deal with the bumblebees, right? And he pulled up a piece of cardboard under the awning there and slept till the morning. When they came to open up the company, right? This is some big warehouse. He would go into one of the bathrooms in the handicap store and take his bath. Take a sponge bath. He told me he'd run the water until the sink overflowed because he jammed the drain and get under it naked on the tile floor and scrub himself off and rinse himself off. He was determined to keep that job. And so months went by. I wouldn't see him as much because he'd stay out there all week. And maybe I'll see him on the weekend if I happen to be driving on the weekend, which I had so much seniority, I didn't have to drive on the weekend. But I'd check up on him. My brother bought a cell phone now. You got a number? Good. And he made this joke. He said, listen, Lance, if I had a cell phone like this, I'd try to sell it more so than keep the bill up. I haven't smoked since I got this job. And I talked to you that day. I said, oh man, now I dreamt about this brother last night. So I have to reach out to him. That could be a divine way of the Creator telling me that he's ready to tell a story. And he was, oh man, let me just fast forward this because I'm getting hungry and I gotta eat. And there's some food over there looking good. So time went on, and then he got a job at a mattress factory in Orlando. And he still tried to get out there to Brevard County. Well, now he had bus fare, and he tried to handle both. And he came to me in an apologetic way. He said, Lance, help me with this. I don't want to lose that job that I have. I said, you're running yourself down with that commute, man. And you're sleeping over there, and you're trying to do this job and run over there. You need to let that one go. You prove something to yourself, and you prove something to me. But I always knew you had it in you from the days that we met when I was working as a CO and you were locked up, and we'd had them long conversations. I didn't invest that time in you if I didn't see something in you. You have it in you to do. You just probably didn't have the right person to encourage you and not believe in you, but to know in you. So he's a couple years younger than me, but we're talking about mentorship. Doesn't have to be some 8-year-old boy. It could be the next brother next to you. He might be older than you. We're not going to get the positivity from the media and the arts and the entertainment and some of our coon-like peers who want to discourage us and hate on us because they see the potential that we have on the inside. We got to give it out to whoever needs it, y'all. Because when we see somebody smiling at us after we say, how are you today? And they smile and say everything's okay and go home and put a bullet in their head. They weren't okay, but they weren't okay with telling you because they didn't trust nobody. So we got to reach out and pierce the facade of what these people put out when there's a storm lurking within. So he worked at the mattress company. And he also worked as help for a plumbing company. And then he learned plumbing. Then he got certifications for plumbing. Then he printed up his cards as a plumber. And he would do the odd jobs or hard to do jobs. He did this on the side, working for the plumbing company, and he still had the weekend hours at the mattress company. He said, man, if I can still go out to Brevard County on that bike that didn't have rims or didn't have tires on the front rim and a flat tire in the back. The last time I went out there, it was pouring down raining. I ain't care. The sweat off of my forehead was mixing in with the rain and burning my eyes. A couple cars almost hit me, but I was determined. We can do it, y'all. We can do it. And so after that certification and all the paperwork that he had from learning plumbing as an assistant, pass me this, pass me that, sweep the floor, go to the store and get this, and go to McDonald's and get me some, all that as an apprentice, as a man who never worked a job before, taking on a skill. After his brain, I have to say it this way, after his brain was fried up with crack for decades, it doesn't mean you can't make it. The body is self-healing. If you put the right foods and the right thoughts and the right environment with the right people, you can do it. He didn't go home and say, let me go sleep at the crack house and I'm trying to get off of crack. He said, man, I see some people out there I ran with, man, and I wish them the best, but they're like, come on, let's hang out. He said, no, I can't hang out with you. So he also began to learn electrical. And he wasn't someone who apparently was wealthy overnight. But now his mother didn't just allow him to sleep in the garage. She saw the change in him and with tears in her eyes, tapped him on his shoulder and say, baby, you need to come on in and go sleep in your room. And they both held each other and they cried together. Because I know firsthand, as you will know, My brother's 11 years older than me, and he's smoking crack right now. He never stopped, but before then he was doing heroin. I grew up knowing that he was a brilliant man, college educated, but he had that issue. And there were times when it seemed as though he was getting right. And my mother was so overjoyed. And I was overjoyed thinking I'm going to have my brother back. But I never had my brother back. The drugs got him. So when I see brothers out here who need a little bit of encouragement, I do it because I wish someone had spoke to my brother in a way that would help him. I'm 11 years younger than him and 7 years old, and he's 18, and how could I reach him? The streets got him. And I still righteously pray, not as a Christian, but as a person who has the righteous energy to know that if we throw out our energy, it's effective and powerful. You know how we do. You think of somebody and 5 minutes later, they call you on the phone. If that's not power that you don't realize that you have, then what is? That was a form of prayer. But we were taught that it's something we have to get down on our knees and pray to some white Jesus. We got to reconnect with that creator and God inside of us to make it something effective in our lives and move mountains. So he said that was the best sleep that I ever had, not because I couldn't afford it now, because I had a little money to go and get a little hotel room, but because she accepted me back into the house. For a while now, because of our work schedules and how busy he was, I didn't see him for a long time. So I was in Walmart late one night after work, and it was someone who tapped me on the shoulder. And this brother, who I'm talking about 6'3", looks taller. Something about him makes him look taller. I turned around, it was him. He was dressed so nicely, looking clean. A handsome brother, no homo. And we can say this about our brothers and not think that somebody thinks it. We need to give compliments to each other. Yo, man, you're getting in better shape, man. You really getting in shape. Man, you look good in that outfit. Where'd you get that outfit from? Where'd you get them shoes from? Man, you got it going on. Ain't no pickup homo line. Brothers need brothers to reinforce each other the way we used to do in the barber shops. When we talk our man talk and have our male bonding. Now it's only male hating going on. And wherever the bonding is going on, more power to you. And when I saw nice shirt, nice pants, shoes, nice watch on, clean, 2 shopping carts full, I said, brother, I don't have to ask you how you've been, but I'm going to ask you. Talk to me. He said, Brother Lance, if I don't ever see you again, I want to thank you for those conversations in the jail. And those conversations when you let me ride the bus. Never charged me because you knew I didn't have anything, but you encouraged me. Night after night, month after month, week after week, year after year. He said, it's God. But he damn sure used you as a tool, brother. Because if you put me down and made me feel less, you didn't know how much I looked up to you because of the things that I see you do online when I got a chance to see it. I didn't know way back in the day. I heard about it. But even when I didn't see you as much because of my new work schedule, I've been checking you out. And he's going to know when he watches this show because he watches all of them that I'm talking about him. Brother, please. There's other people out here who need you to encourage them and tell the nitty gritty. You don't have to show your face if you don't want to, but let us hear your words and come forward. And if there's anyone else out there that has a story to tell along similar lines, it doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be drug abuse. It could be that you survive trauma and abuse, and there are people who want to know how to overcome it. Please reach out to me. You see the number there in the bottom, 407-590-0755. WhatsApp or straight calling. but not today because my phone is in a bag of rice. Trying to get the water out the charging port. But you can leave me a WhatsApp message and I can see it on the computer and still respond with a voicemail. But he told me he has a crew of workers that work under him. He has 3 job sites right now that in various levels of construction, he's going around to make sure the work is being done right. He has all his licenses now. Look at that. For a dude who was always locked up from the age of 14 to 50 to now doing his own thing because he wasn't too ashamed to ride a bike in the rain for miles after getting off the bus where the front wheel of the bike didn't have a tire, riding on a rim, and the back tire was partially inflated and squeaky as heck, that bike. And I asked him, I said, in the conversation, I said, brother, I know the answer, but whatever happened to that bike? He said, I keep that bike up on the wall in my office. I said, office? You got an office now? Not that I'm having low expectations, but this is just too good. He said, yeah, man, I purchased a small building. I was like, what? He's like, we got to take a selfie, brother. Me and you right here. Because I'm going to put that picture on the wall. And he told the cashier, he told me, you got 2 shopping carts too. I'm paying for everything. I said, brother, you don't have to do that. He said, listen, if you know how good I got it now, you'll let me do it. And I have to because you invested so much time in me. I said, I accept it. I said, don't turn your back. I might throw a few more extra things in that cart. He said, go ahead. So I went over to the fruit aisle and picked up some more fruit. He said, I don't care if you buy the whole damn store. I owe this to you and my creator. So we need to look at solutions. We know the stereotypes are there, but we don't need to buy into the stereotypes. We need to go for the solutions. Because so many of us, all we need is a good word to be set straight. And it's not going to be just a good word, but we have to make people feel the sincerity, to make them feel how much we care for them, because we really do. Anyway, it's been good. I did not know I was going to be on here for 3 hours and 23 minutes, but it was necessary. That's my heart speaking to me. In a couple of hours, we're going to be on with Dr. Ade, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, if she changes it because of preparation, it will be that. But keep an eye on the community section of this page, because I do drop things there. Many people don't, but guaranteed, once I make the link, which is not made yet, don't look for it because it's not in existence yet. I may make it later on or after I get something to eat, but I got to get some sunlight. This African sun is a beautiful thing. 0 latitude and 0 longitude I'm in right now. That means it's a very special place. And for those who came from here, who are in the diaspora, know that you're special too. That's why you're under attack daily on a mental, physical, and spiritual level. But you're worthy and you're equipped for the battle. I just want to say much love to you all. Salute to my brothers and much love to my sisters. I do this out of love. It's a labor of love. And I'm going to keep on going until my creator has me transition. This is the dash between the date of my birth and the date of the time I'm supposed to go. And if I can affect somebody with some positivity, my name doesn't have to be attached to it. But I did my job as a righteous tool for the creator and my people. Much love to you all. I will see you later with Dr. Ade. Who knows, I might record something for a couple minutes because I can't stop talking sometime. But I'll see you all later, and I hope you have a wonderful day. It's still morning on the East Coast. What is it, like 5 minutes before 10? Man, that was early today, huh? So make sure to throw out an encouraging word to someone who needs it, because you never know what a difference you're making. And that's all you need to tip the scales over to the side of positivity and stop somebody from taking their own life because they think it's hopeless. Nobody was put on this earth to be hopeless and to not have value. We all have value on some level. Submit to it and work on it and manifest it. And you'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. Talk to you later, family. I loved it today. Leave your comments and let's move forward. Peace.
To America, we were living in the east. By the Nile River, we were living in luxury, enjoying freedom, justice, and equality. We wore silken robes and slippers of gold. We were the wealthiest and the wisest people, I'm told. Now we are the poorest of the poor. Nobody wants us at their door. So, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is black man hell. When the white man came to America, he told the Indian, I am your white brother. He said, red man, I'll treat you the best. Yet and still he pushed the Indian further west with his white woman and firewater. Tricks and lies, he stole America. The original owner of this nation is cooped up on a reservation. So my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven, black man hell. He needed someone to work the land. His back was too weak. He needed you, black man, so he commissioned Sir John Hawkins to commit the world's most grievous sin, to take a man who's born to be free and bring him down to slavery, to sell a man as merchandise, on his body put a price. Oh, my friend, it's easy to tell. White man heaven is a black man hell.